Welcome, friends, to another performance by BYO Shakespeare. I am your host, Sock Mabel, the unofficial official mascot and secret starlet of On the Rise of BYO Shakespeare. We are friends and colleagues who have spent quarantine and shelter in place reading the works of William Shakespeare together on Zoom. And now we bring a taste of our adventures to you, streaming live from our living rooms, bedrooms, kitchens, and so on. This is live theater happening at home, and like live theater, sometimes the unpredictable happens. You may see or hear one of our pets, or sirens from the fire station next door, and occasionally technology may be uncooperative. We humbly ask you for your patience with any such issues. But because this is happening at home and live on YouTube, you are also welcome to participate by using the YouTube live chat feature and by enjoying a beverage and a snack at any points. And you don't have to wear pants, we won't tell. Tonight, we offer you King Lear. We will take one 15-minute intermission, and for those who may need it, there will be one scene in the second half with a tiny bit of gore. Feel free to close your eyes for that minute if you need to do so, but we assure you it's actually jelly and tomato, and no Gloucesters were harmed in the making of this evening's entertainment. Thank you and enjoy the show. Act 1, Scene 1. Enter Gloucester, Kent, and Edmund.
I thought the king had more affected the Duke of Albany than Cornwall.
It did always seem so to us, but now in the division of the kingdom it appears not which of the dukes he values most, for equalities are so weighed that curiosity in neither can make choice of either's mighty.
Is this not this your son, my lord?
His breeding, sir, hath been at my charge. I have so often blushed to acknowledge him that now I am braced to it.
I cannot conceive you.
Sir, this young fellow's mother could, whereupon she grew round-wombed, and had indeed, sir, a son for her cradle ere she had a husband for her bed. Do you smell a fault?
I cannot wish the fault undone, the issue of it being so proper.
But I have a son, sir, by order of law, some year elder than this, who is yet no dearer in my account. Though this knave came something saucily to the world before he was sent for, yet was his mother fair, and there was good sport at his making, and the whoreson must be acknowledged. Do you know this noble gentleman, Edmund?
No, my lord.
My lord of Kent. Remember him hereafter as my honorable friend.
My services to your lordship.
I must love you and sue to know you better.
Sir, I shall study deserving.
He hath been out 9 years, and away he shall again. The king is coming.
Enter King Lear, Cornwall, Albany, GONERIL, REGAN, and CORDELIA.
We shall express our darker purpose. Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, unburdened, crawl toward death. Our son of Cornwall, and you, our no less loving son of Albany, we have this hour a constant will to publish our daughter's several dowers, that future strife may be prevented now. The 2 great princes of France and Burgundy, great rivals in our youngest daughter's love, long in our court have made their amorous sojourn, and here are to be answered. Tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, cares of state, which of you shall we say doth love us most, that we our largest bounty may extend where nature doth with merit challenge? GONERIL, our eldest born, speak first.
Sir, I love you more than word can wield the matter. Dearer than eyesight, space, and liberty, beyond what can be valued, rich or rare, no less than life, with grace, health, beauty, honor, as much as child e'er loved or father found, a love that makes breath poor and speech unable. Beyond all manner of so much I love you.
What shall Cordelia speak? Love and be silent.
Of all these bounds, even from this line to this, with shadowy forests and with champaigns rich, with plenteous rivers and wide-skirted meads, we make thee lady. To thine and Albany's issue be this perpetual. What says our second daughter, our dearest Regan, wife of Cornwall? Speak.
I am made of that selfsame metal as my sister, and prize me at her worth. In my true heart I find she names my very deed of love. Only she comes too short, that I profess myself an enemy to all other joys which the most precious square of sense possesses, and find I am alone felicitate in your dear highness' love.
Then poor Cordelia, and yet not so, since I am sure my love's more ponderous than my tongue.
To thee and thine heredity ever remains this ample third of our fair kingdom, no less in space, validity, and pleasure than that conferred on GONERIL. Now, our joy, although our last and least, to whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interested, what can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lord.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less.
How, Cordelia? Mend your speech a little, lest you may mar your fortunes.
Good my lord, you have begot me, bred me, loved me. I return those duties back as are right fit. Obey you, love you, and most honor you. Why have my sisters husbands if they say they love you all? Happily, when I shall wed, that lord whose hand must take my plight shall carry half my love with him, half my care and duty. Shall I never marry like my sisters to love my father all?
But goes thy heart with this?
Aye, my lord.
So young and so untender.
So young, my lord, and true.
Let it be so. Thy truth, then, be thy dower. For by the sacred radiance of the sun, the mysteries of Hecate and the night, and by all the operation of the orbs from whom we do exist and cease to be, here I disclaim all my paternal care, propinquity, and property of blood, and as a stranger to my heart and me, hold thee from this forever, thou my sometime daughter.
Good my liege.
Peace, Kent. Come not between the dragon and his wrath. I loved her most, and thought to set my rest on her kind nursery. Hence, and avoid my sight. So be my grave, my peace, as here I give her father's heart from her. Call France. Who stirs? Call Burgundy.
Gloucester exits.
Cornwall and Albany, with my two daughters' dowers, digest the third. Let pride, which she calls plainness, marry her. I do invest you jointly with my power, preeminence, and all the large effects that troop with majesty. Ourselves by monthly course, with reservation of 100 nights by you to be sustained, shall our abode make with you by due turn. Only we shall retain the name and all the addition to a king. The sway, revenue, execution of the rest, beloved sons, be yours, which to confirm this cornet part between you.
Royal Lear, whom I have ever honored as my king, loved as my father, as my master followed, as my great patron thought on in my prayers.
The bow is bent and drawn, make from the shaft.
Well, let it fall rather through the fork, invade the region of my heart. Be Kent unmannerly when Mir is mad. What wouldst thou do, old man? Thinkst thou that duty should have dread to speak when power to flattery bows? To plainness honour's bound when majesty fails to folly. Reserve thy state, and in thy best consideration check this hideous rashness. Answer my life, my judgment. Thy youngest daughter does not love thee least, nor those empty-hearted whose low sounds reverb no hollowness.
Kate, on my life no more.
Thy life I've never held but as a pawn to wage against thine enemies, nor fear to lose it, thy safety being motive.
Out of my sight!
Be better, Lear, and let me still remain the true blank of thine eye.
Now, by Apollo...
Now by Apollo, king, thou swearest thy gods in vain.
Oh, vassal, miscreant!
Dear sir, forbear.
Kill thy physician, and thy fee bestow upon the foul disease. Revoke thy gift, or whilst I convince clamour from my throat, I tell thee thou dost evil.
Hear me, recreant. On thine allegiance, hear me. That thou hast sought to make us break our vows, which we durst never yet, and with strained pride to come betwixt our sentence and our power, which nor our nature nor our place can bear, our potency made good, take thy reward. 5 days we do allot thee for provision to shield thee from the disasters of the world, and on the 6th to turn thy hated back upon our kingdom. If on the 10th day following thy banished trunk be found in our dominions, the moment is thy death. Away, by Jupiter, this shall not be revoked.
Fare thee well, king. Sith thus thou wilt appear, freedom lives hence, and banishment is here. The gods to their dear shelter take thee, maid, that justly thinkst and hast most rightly said. And your large speeches may your deeds approve, that good effects may spring from words of love. Thus Kent, O princess, bids you all adieu, and shape his old course in a country new.
He exits. Enter Gloucester with France and Burgundy.
Here's France and Burgundy, my noble lord.
My lord of Burgundy, we first address toward you, who with this king hath rivaled for our daughter. What in the least will you require in present dower with her, or cease your quest of love?
Most royal majesty, I crave no more than hath your highness offered, nor will you tender less.
Right noble Burgundy, when she was dear to us, we did hold her so, but now her price has fallen. Sir, there she stands. If aught within that little seeming substance, or all of it, with our displeasure pieced, and nothing more, may fitly like your grace, she's there, and she is yours.
I know no answer.
Will you, with those infirmities she owes, unfriended, new adopted to our hate, dowered with our curse, and strangered with our oath, take her or leave her?
Pardon me, royal sir. Election makes not up in such conditions.
Then leave her, sir, for by the power that made me, I tell you all her wealth. For you, great king, I would not from your love make such a stray to match you where I hate. Therefore beseech you to divert your liking a more worthier way than on a wench whom nature is ashamed almost to acknowledge hers.
This is most strange, that she whom even but now was your best object, the argument of your praise, balm of your age, the best, the dearest, should in this trice of time commit a thing so monstrous to dismantle so many folds of favor. Sure her offense must be of such unnatural degree that monsters it, or your forevouched affection fall into taint, which to believe of her must be a faith that reason without miracle should never plant in me.
I yet beseech your majesty, if for what I want in glib and oily art to speak and purpose not, since what I well intend, I'll do it before I speak. that you make known. It is no vicious blot, nor murder or foulness, no unchaste action or dishonored step that hath depraved me of your graces and favor. But even for what of that which I am richer, a soliciting eye and a tongue that I am glad I have not, though not to have it had lost me in your liking.
Better thou hadst not been born than not to have pleased me better.
Is it but this, a tardiness in nature, which often leaves the history unspoke that it intends to do? My lord of Burgundy, what say you to the lady? Love's not love when it is mingled with regards that stands aloof from the entire point. Will you have her? She is herself a dowry.
Royal King, give but that portion which yourself proposed, and here I take Cordelia by the hand, Duchess of Burgundy.
Nothing. I have sworn, I am firm.
I'm sorry then. You have so lost a father that you must lose a husband.
Peace be with Burgundy. Since that respect and fortunes are his love, I shall not be his wife.
Fairest Cordelia, that art most rich being poor, most choice forsaken, and most loved despised. Thee and thy virtues here I seize upon. Be it lawful, I take up what's cast away. Gods, gods, 'tis strange that from their cold neglect my love should kindle to inflamed respect. Thy dowerless daughter, king, thrown to my chance, is queen of us, of ours, and our fair France. Not all the dukes of watchrish Burgundy can buy this unprized precious maid of me. Bid them farewell, Cordelia, though unkind. Thou losest here a better where to find.
Thou hast her, friends, let her be thine, for we have no such daughter, nor shall ever see that face of earth again. Therefore be gone, without our grace, our love, our benison. Come, noble Burgundy.
All but France, Cordelia, Goneril, and Regan exit.
Bid farewell to your sisters.
The jewels of our father with washed eyes, Cordelia leaves you. I know you what you are, and like a sister am most loath to call your faults as they are named. Love well our father. To your professed bosom I commit him. But yet, alas, stood I within his grace, I would prefer him to a better place. So farewell to you both.
Prescribe us not our duty.
Let your study be to content your lord, who hath received you at fortune's alms. You have obedience scanted, and well are worth the want that you have wanted.
Time shall unfold what plighted cunning hides. Who covers faults at last with shame's derides. Well may you prosper.
Come, my fair Cordelia.
France and Cordelia exit.
Sister, it is not little I have to say of what most nearly appertains to us both. I think our father will hence tonight.
That's most certain, and with you, next month with us.
See how full of changes his age is. The observation we have made of it hath not been little. He always loved our sister most, and with what poor judgment he hath now cast her off appears too grossly.
'Tis the infirmity of his age, yet he hath ever but slenderly known himself.
The best and soundest of his time hath been but rash. Then must we look from his age to receive not alone the imperfections of long engraft condition, but therewithal the unruly waywardness that infirm and choleric years bring with them.
Such inconstant starts are we like to have from him as this of Kent's banishment.
There is further compliment of leave-taking between France and him. Pray you, let us sit together. If our father carry authority with such disposition as he bears, this last surrender of his will but offend us.
We shall further think on it.
We must do something, and in the heat.
They exit. Scene 2. Enter Edmund the Bastard.
Thou, nature, art my goddess. To thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom, and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me? For that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of a brother? Why bastard? Wherefore base? My dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true as honest madam's issue. Why brand they us with base, with bastard, baseness, base, base? Who in the lusty stealth of nature take more composition and fierce quality than doth within a dull, stale, tired bed go to the creating of a whole tribe of fox, gas tween asleep and awake? Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund as to the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimates, if this letter speed and my intention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now gods, stand up for bastards.
Enter Gloucester.
Kent banished thus, and France in choler parted? The king gone tonight, prescribed his power and confined to exhibition? All this done upon the gad? Edmund, how now? What news?
So please your lordship, none.
Why so earnestly seek you to put up that letter?
I know no news, my lord.
What paper were you reading?
Nothing, my lord.
No? What needed then that terrible dispatch of it into your pocket? The quality of nothing hath not such need to hide itself. Come, let's see. Come, if it be nothing, I shall not need spectacles.
I beseech you, sir, pardon me. It is a letter from my brother that I have not all or read, and for so much as I have perused, I find it not fit for your o'erlooking.
Give me the letter, sir.
I shall offend either to detain or give it. The contents, as in part I understand them, are to blame.
Let's see, let's see.
I hope, for my brother's justification, he wrote this but as an essay or taste of my virtue.
This policy and reverence of age makes the world bitter to the best of our times, keeps our fortunes from us till our oldness cannot relish them. I begin to find an idle and fond bondage in the oppression of aged tyranny, who sways it not as it hath power, but as it is suffered. Come to me that of this I may speak more, and if our father would sleep till I waked him, you should enjoy half his revenue forever, and live the beloved of your brother, Edgar. Huh. Conspiracy? Sleep till I wake him, you should enjoy half his revenue. My son Edgar, had he a hand to write this? A heart and a brain to breed it in? When came you to this? Who brought it?
It was not brought me, my lord. There's the cunning of it. I found it thrown at the casement of my closet.
You know the character to be your brother's.
If the matter were good, my lord, I durst swear it were his. But in respect of that, I would fain think it were not.
It is his.
It is his hand, my lord, but I hope his heart is not in the contents.
Has he never before sounded you in this business?
Never, my lord, but I have heard him oft maintain it to be fit that, sons at perfect age and fathers decline, the father should be as ward to the son, and the son manage his revenue.
Villain, villain, his very opinion in the letter. Abhorred villain, natural, detested, brutish villain, worse than brutish. Go, sir, seek him, I'll apprehend him. Abominable villain. Where is he?
I do not well know, my lord. If it shall please you to suspend your indignation against my brother till you can derive better testimony of his intent, you should run a certain course, where, if you violently proceed against him, mistaking his purpose, it would make a great gap in your own honor and shake in pieces the heart of his obedience. I dare pawn down my life for him, that he hath not writ this in sooth, but to feel my affection to your honor, and to no other pretense of danger.
Think you so?
If your honor judge it meet, I will place you where you shall hear us confer of this, and by an auricular assurance have your satisfaction, and that without any further delay than this very evening.
He cannot be such a Gloucester.
Nor is not, sure.
To his father that so tenderly and entirely loves him, heaven and earth. Edmund, seek him out, wind me into him, I pray you. Frame the business after your own wisdom. I would unstate myself to be in a due resolution.
I will seek him, sir, presently, convey the business as I shall find means, and acquaint you with all.
These late eclipses in the sun and moon portend no good to us. Though the wisdom of nature can reason it thus and thus, yet nature finds itself scourged by the secret effects. Love cools, friendship falls off, brothers divide. In cities, mutinies, in countries, discord. In palaces, treason. The bond cracked twixt son and father. This villain of mine comes under the predilection. There's son against father. The king falls for bias of nature. There's father against child. We've seen the best of our time. Machinations, hollowness, treachery, and all ruinous disorders follow us disquietly to our graves. Find out this villain, Edmund. It shall lose thee nothing. Do it carefully. A noble and true-hearted Kent, banished. His offense honesty. This is strange.
Gloucester exits.
This is the excellent foppery of the world, that when we are sick in fortune, often the surfeits of our own behavior, we make guilty of our disasters, the sun, the moon, and stars, as if we were villains on necessity. Fools by heavenly compulsion, knaves, thieves, and treacherous by spherical predominance. Drunkards, liars, and adulterers by an enforced obedience of planetary influence, and all that we are evil in by a divine thrusting on. An admirable evasion of poor master man, to lay his goatish dispositions to the charge of a star. My father compounded with my mother under the dragon's tail, and my nativity was under Ursa Major, so it follows I am rough and lecherous. Foot. I would be that I am, had the maidenliest star in the firmament twinkled on my bastardizing. Edgar. And Peth, he comes, like the catastrophe of the old comedy. My cue is villainous melancholy, and a sigh like Tom of Bethlehem. Oh, these eclipses do portend these divisions. How now, brother Edmund? What serious contemplation are you in? I am thinking, brother, of a prediction I read the other day. What should follow these eclipses? Oh, do you busy yourself with that? How long have you been a secretary astronomical? Come. When saw you my father last? This night gone by. Spake you with him? Aye. 2 hours together? Parted you on good terms? Found you no displeasure in him by word or countenance? No, none at all. Bethink yourself wherein he may have offended him, and at my entreaty forbear his presence until some little time hath qualified the heat of his displeasure, which at this instant so rageth in him, with the mischief of your person, it would scarcely allay. Some villain hath done me wrong. That's my fear. I pray you, have a continent forbearance, that the speed till the speed of his rage go slower, and, as I say, retire with me to my lodging, from whence I will fitly bring you to hear my lord speak. Here you go. There's my key. If you do stir abroad, go armed. Armed, brother. Brother, I advise you to the best. I am no honest man, if there be any good meaning for you. I have told you what I have seen and heard, but faintly, nothing like the image and horror of it. Pray you, away, till I see you anon. I do serve you in this business.
Edgar exits.
A credulous brother and a father noble, whose nature is so far from doing harms that he suspects none, on which brother's foolish honesty my practices ride easy. I see the business. Let me, if not by birth, have lands by wit. All with me's meet that I can fashion fit.
He exits. Scene 3. Enter GONERIL and OSWALD, her steward.
Did my father strike my gentleman for chiding of his fool?
Aye, madam.
By day and night he wrongs me. Every hour he flashes into one gross crime or other that sets us all at odds. I'll not endure it. His nights grow riotous, and himself upbraids us on every trifle. When he returns from hunting, I will not speak with him. Say I am sick. If you come slack of former services, you shall do well. The fault of it I'll answer.
He's coming, madam. I hear him.
Put on what weary negligence you please, you and your fellows. I'd have it come to question. If you taste it, let him to my sister, whose mind and mine I know are in that are one, not to be overruled. Idle old man that still would manage those authorities that he hath given away. Now by my life, old fools are babes again and must be used with checks as flatteries when they are seen abused. Remember what I have said.
Well, madam.
And let his knights have colder looks among you. What grows of it, no matter. Advise your fellows so. I would breed from hence occasions, and I shall, that I may speak. I'll write straight to my sister to hold my very course. Prepare for dinner.
They exit in different directions. Scene 4. Enter Kent in disguise.
If I but as well, I other accents borrow that can my speech diffuse, my good intent may carry through itself to that full issue for which I raised my likeness. Now, banished Kent, as thou canst serve where thou dost stand condemned, so may it come thy master who thou lovest shall find me full of labors.
Enter Lear with a gentleman.
How now? What art thou?
A good man, sir.
What dost thou profess? What wouldst thou with us?
I do profess to be no less than I seem, to serve him truly that will put me in trust, to love him that is honest, to converse with him that is wise and says little, to fear judgment, to fight when I cannot choose, and to eat no fish.
What art thou?
A very honest-hearted fellow, and as poor as the king.
If thou beest as poor for a subject as he is for a king, thou art poor enough. What wouldst thou?
Service.
Who wouldst thou serve?
You.
Dost thou know me, fellow?
No, sir, but you can have that in your countenance, which I would fain call master.
What's that?
Authority.
What services canst do?
I can keep honest counsel, ride, run, mar a curious tale in telling it, and deliver a plain message bluntly, that which ordinary men are fit for I am qualified in, and the best of me is diligence.
What art thou?
Oh, not so young, sir, to love a woman for singing, no soul to dote on her for anything. I have years on my back 48.
Follow me. Thou shalt serve me, if I like thee no worse after dinner. I will not part from thee yet. Dinner. Oh, dinner! Where's my knave, my fool? Go you and call my fool hither.
Enter Oswald the steward.
You, Sarah, where's my daughter?
So please you.
He exits.
What says the fellow there? Call the clock pole back.
Kent exits.
Where's my fool? Oh, I think the world's asleep.
Kent re-enters.
How now? Where's that mongrel?
He says, my lord, your daughter is not well.
Why came not the slave back to me when I called him?
Sir, he answered me in the roundest manner. He would not.
He would not?
My lord, I know not what the matter is, but to my judgment, your highness is not entertained with that ceremonious affection as you were wont. There's a great abatement of kindness appears as well in the general dependence as in the duke himself also, and your daughter.
Ah, sayest thou so?
I beseech you pardon me, my lord, if I be mistaken, for my duty cannot be silent when I think your highness wronged.
Thou but rememberest me of mine own conception. I have perceived a most faint neglect of late, which I have rather blamed as mine own jealous curiosity than as a pretense and purpose of unkindness, I will look further into it. But where's my fool? I've not seen him this 2 days.
Since my young lady's going into France, sir, the fool hath much pined away.
No more of that. I have noted it well.
Enter Oswald the steward.
Oh, you, sir, you! Come you hither, sir. Who am I, sir?
My lady's father.
My lady's father? My lord's knave? You whoresome dog, you slave, you cur!
I am none of these, my lord. I beseech your pardon.
Do you bandy looks with me, you rascal?
Lear strikes
I'll
him.
not be strucken, my lord.
Kent trips him.
Not tripped neither, you base football player.
I thank thee, fellow. Thou servest me, and I love thee.
Come, sir, arise. Away. I'll teach you differences. Away, away. If you measure your lubber's length again, tarry. But away. Go to, have you wisdom?
Oswald exits.
Now, my friendly knave, I thank thee. There's earnest of thy service.
He gives Kent a purse. Enter the fool.
Let me hire him too. Here's my coxcomb.
How now, my pretty knave? How dost thou?
You were best take my coxcomb.
Why, my boy?
Why? For taking one's part that's out of favor. Nay, and thou canst not smile as the wind sits. Thou'lt catch cold shortly. There, take my coxcomb. Why, this fellow has banished 2 of his daughters, and did the 3rd a blessing against his will. If thou follow him, thou must needs wear my coxcomb. How now, nuncle? Would I had 2 coxcombs and 2 daughters.
Why, my boy?
If I gave them all my living, I'd keep my coxcombs myself. There's mine, there's mine. Beg another of my daughters.
Take heed, Sarah, the whip.
Truth, the dog must to kennel. He must be whipped out when the Lady Brach may stand in the fire and stink.
Pestilent gall to me.
Sirrah, I'll teach thee a speech.
Do.
Mark it, nuncle. Have more than thou showest. Speak less than thou knowest. Lend less than thou owest. Ride more than thou goest. Learn more than thou trowest. Set less than thou throwest. Leave thy drink and thy whore, and keep in a door. For thou shalt have more than 2 tens to a score.
This is nothing, fool.
Then 'tis like the breath of an unfeed lawyer. You gave me nothing for it. Can you make no use of nothing, nuncle?
Why, no, boy. Nothing can be made out of nothing.
Prithee, tell him so much the rent of his land comes to. He will not believe a fool.
A bitter fool?
Dost know the difference, my boy, between a bitter fool and a sweet one?
No, lad, teach me.
That lord that counseled thee to give away thy land, come place him here by me. Do thou for him stand. The sweet and bitter fool will presently appear. The one in motley here, the other found out there.
Dost thou call me fool, boy?
All thy other titles thou hast given away. That thou wast born with.
This is
not altogether fool.
No, faith, lords and great men will not let me. If I had a monopoly out, they would have part on it. And lilies too. They will not let me have all the fool to myself. They'll be snatching. Uncle, give me an egg, and I'll give thee 2 crowns.
What 2 crowns shall they be?
Why, after I have cut the egg in the middle and eaten up the meat, the 2 crowns of the egg. When thou clovest thy crown in the middle and gavest away both parts, thou borest thine ass on thy back or the dirt. Thou hadst little wit in thy bald crown when thou gavest thy golden one away. If I speak like myself in this, let him be wit that first finds it so. Fools had ne'er less grace in a year, for wise men are grown foppish, and not know how their wits to wear. Their manners are so apish.
When were you wont to be so full of songs, Sarah?
I have used it, nuncle, ere since thou madest thy daughters thy mothers. For when thou gavest them the rod and putst down thy own breeches, then they for sudden joy did weep, and I for sorrow sung, that such a king should play bo peep, and go the fools among. Prithee, nuncle, keep a schoolmaster that can teach thy fool to lie. I would fain learn to lie.
You lie, Sarah, will have you whipped.
I marvel what kin thou and thy daughters are. They'll have me whipped for speaking true. Thou'lt have me whipped for lying, and sometimes I am whipped for holding my peace. I had rather be any kind of thing than a fool. And yet I would not be thee, nuncle. Thou hast pared thy wit of both sides and left nothing in the middle. Here comes one of the herrings.
Enter GONERIL.
How now, daughter? What makes that frownlet on? Methinks you are too much of late in the frown.
Thou wast a pretty fellow when thou hadst no need to care for her frowning. Now thou art an O without a figure. I am better than thou art now. I am a fool. Thou art nothing. Yes, forsooth, I will hold my tongue. So your face bids me, though you say nothing. Mum, mum, he that keeps nor crust nor crumb, weary of all, shall want some. That's a show of peace cod.
Not only, sir, this your all-licensed fool, but other of your insolent retinue do hourly carp and quarrel, breaking forth in rank and not to be endured riots. Sir, I had thought, by making this well known unto you, to have found a safe redress, but now grow fearful, by what you yourself too late have spoke and done, that you protect this course and put it on by your allowance, which if you should, the fault would not scape censure, nor the redresses sleep, which in the tender of a wholesome wheel might in their working do you that offence, which else were shame, that the necessity will call discreet proceeding.
For you know, nuncle, the hedge sparrow fed the cuckoo so long that it had its head bit off by its young. So out went the candle, and we were left darkling.
Are you our daughter?
I would you would make use of your good wisdom, whereof I know you are fraught, and put away these dispositions which of late transport you from what you rightly are.
May not an ass know when the cart draws the horse? Whoop, jug love thee.
Does any here know me? This is not Lear. Does Lear walk thus, speak thus? Where are his eyes? Either his notion weakens, his discernings are lethargied. Ah! Waking? 'Tis not so. Who is it that can tell me who I am?
Lear's shadow.
I would learn that, for by the marks of sovereignty, knowledge, and reason, I should be false persuaded I had daughters.
Which they will make an obedient father.
Your name, fair gentlewoman?
This admiration, sir, is much o' the savour of your other new pranks. I do beseech you to understand my purposes aright. As you are old and reverend, should be wise. Here do you keep 100 knights and squires, men so disordered, so debauched and bold, that this our court, infected with their manners, shows like a riotous inn. Epicurism and lust makes it more like a tavern or a brothel than a graced palace. The shame itself doth speak for instant remedy. Be then desired by her that else will take the things she begs a little to disquantify your train, and the remainders that shall still depend to be such men as may besort your age, which them know themselves and you.
Darkness and devils! Saddle my horses, call my train together. Degenerate bastard, I'll not trouble thee, yet have I left a daughter.
You strike my people, and your disordered rabble make servants of their betters.
Enter ALBANY.
Woe, that too late repents. Oh, sir, are you come? Is it your will? Speak, sir. Ingratitude, thou marble-hearted fiend, more hideous than when thou show'st thee in a child, than the sea monsters.
Pray, sir, be patient.
Detested kite, thou liest. My train of men are men of choice and rarest parts, that all particulars of duty know, and in the most exact regard support the worships of their name. Oh, Lear, Lear, Lear! Be to this gate that let thy folly in and thy dear judgment out.
My lord, I am as guiltless as I am ignorant of what hath moved you.
It may be so, my lord. Here, nature, here, dear goddess, here. Suspend thy purpose if thou didst intend to make this creature fruitful. Into her womb convey sterility. Dry up in her the organs of increase, and from her delicate body never spring a babe to honor her. If she must teem, create her child of spleen, that it may live and be a thwart, disnatured torment to her. Let it stamp wrinkles in her brow of youth, with cadent tears fret channels in her cheeks, turn all her mother's pains and benefits to laughter and contempt, that she may feel how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. Away, away!
Lear and the rest of his train exit.
Now, gods that we adore, whereof comes this?
Never afflict yourself to know more of it, but let his disposition have that scope as dotage gives it.
Re-enter Lear and the fool.
What, 50 of my followers at a clap within a fortnight?
What's the matter, sir?
I tell thee, life and death. I am ashamed that thou hast power to shake my manhood thus, that these hot tears which break from me perforce should make thee worth them. Blasts and fogs upon thee, the unattended woundings of a father's curse pierce every sense about thee. Old fond eyes beweep this cause again. I'll pluck you out and cast you out with the waters that you loose to temper clay. Nay, has it come to this? Ha! Let it be so. I have another daughter, who I am sure is kind and comfortable. When she shall hear this of thee, with her nails she'll flay thy wolfish visage. Thou shalt find that I'll resume the shape without us to think I have cast off forever.
Lear exits.
Do you mark that?
I cannot be so partial, Goneril. To the great love I bear you.
Pray you, content. What? Oswald? Ho! You, sir, more knave than fool, after your master.
Uncle Lear, Harry, take the fool with thee. A fox when one has caught her, and such a daughter should sure to the slaughter. If my cap would buy a halter, so the fool follows after.
Fool exits.
This man hath had good counsel. 100 knights. 'Tis politic and safe to let him keep at point 100 knights. Yes, that on every dream, each buzz, each fancy, each complaint, dislike he may enguard his dotage with their powers and hold our lives in mercy. Oswald, I say!
Well, you may fear too far.
Safer than trust too far. Let me still take away the harms I fear, not fear still to be taken. I know his heart. What he hath uttered I have writ my sister. If she sustain him in his 100 knights, when I have showed the unfitness... How
Enter
now?
Oswald.
Oswald! What, have you writ that letter to my sister?
Aye, madam.
Take you some company and away to horse. Inform her full of my particular fear, and thereto add such reasons of your own as may compact it more. Let you go on and hasten your return. No, no, my lord. This milky gentleman, it's in course of yours, though I condemn not, yet under pardon, you are much more at task for want of wisdom than praised for harmful mildness.
How far your eyes may pierce, I cannot tell. Striving to better, off we mar what's well.
They exit. Scene 5. Enter Lear, Kent in disguise, Gentleman and Fool.
Go you before to Gloucester with these letters, but quite might offer no further with anything you know than comes from her demand out of the letter. If your diligence be not speedy, I shall be there for you.
I will not sleep, my lord, till I have delivered your letters.
He exits.
If a man's brains were in his heels, were not in danger of kibes,
Aye, boy.
then I prithee be merry. Thy wit shall not go slipshod. Shalt see thy other daughter will use thee kindly. For though she's as like this as a crab's like an apple, yet I can tell what I can tell.
What canst tell, boy?
She will taste as like this as a crab does to a crab. Thou canst tell why one's nose stands in the middle of one's face.
No.
Why, to keep one's eyes on either side of one's nose, that what a man cannot smell out, he may see into.
I did her wrong.
Canst tell how an oyster makes his shell?
No.
No, I neither. But I can tell why a snail has a house.
Why?
Why, to put his head in, not to give it away to his daughters and leave his horns without a case.
I will forget my nature. So kind a father. Be my horses ready?
Gentleman exits.
Thy asses are gone about them. The reason why the 7 stars are no more than 7 is a pretty reason.
Because they are not 8.
Yes, indeed. Thou wouldst make a good fool.
To take again perforce, monster ingratitude.
If thou wert my fool, nuncle, I'd have thee beaten for being old before thy time.
How's that?
Thou shouldst not have been old till thou hadst been wise.
Oh, let me not be mad. Not mad, sweet heaven, keep me in temper. I would not be mad.
Enter gentleman.
How now, are the horses ready?
Ready, my lord.
Come, boy.
She that's a maid now and lasts at my departure shall not be a maid long unless things be cut shorter.
They exit. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Edmund the Bastard and a servant severally.
Save thee, sir.
And you, sir, I have been with your father and given him notice that the Duke of Cornwall and Regan his Duchess will be here with him this night.
How comes that?
Nay, I know not. You have heard of the news abroad. I mean the whispered ones, for they are yet but ear-kissing arguments.
Not I. Pray you, what are they?
Have you heard of no likely wars toward twixt the Dukes of Cornwall and Albany?
Not a word.
You may do then in time. Fare you well, sir.
He exits.
The Duke be here tonight? The better, best. This weaves itself perforce into my business. My father hath set guard to take my brother, and I have one thing of a queasy question yet to act, briefness and fortune work. Brother, a word. Descend, brother, I say. My father watches. Oh, sir, fly this place. Intelligence is given where you are hid. You have now the good advantage of the night. Have you not spoken against the Duke of Cornwall? He's coming now hither, in the night, in the haste, and Regan with him. Have you nothing said upon his party against the Duke of Albany? Advise yourself. Sure of it, not a word. I hear my father coming. Pardon me. In cunning, I must draw my sword upon you. Draw. Seem to defend yourself. Now, quit you out. Stop! Yield before my father! Light! Here! Ho! Fly, brother! Torches! Fare you well. Some blood upon me would beget opinion of my more fierce endeavor. I have seen drunkards do more than this in sport. Father! Father! Stop! Stop! No help!
Enter Gloucester.
Now, Edmund, where's the villain?
Here he stood, in the dark, his sharp sword out, mumbling of wicked charms, conjuring the moon to stand auspicious mistress.
But where is he?
Look, sir, I bleed.
Where is the villain, Edmund?
Fled this way, when by no means he could.
By no means what?
Persuade me to the murder of your lordship. But that I told him the revenging gods gainst parricides did all their thunder bend, spoke with how manifold and strong a bond the child was bound to the father. Sir, in fine, seeing how loathly opposite I stood to his unnatural purpose, in fell motion, with his prepared sword, he charges home my unprovided body, lanced my arm, and when he saw my best alarumed spirits, bold in the quarrel's right, roused to the encounter, or whether gasted by the noise I made, full suddenly he fled.
Let him fly far. Not in this land shall he remain uncaught, and found dispatched. The noble Duke, my master, my worthy arch and patron, comes tonight. By his authority I will proclaim it, that he which finds him shall deserve our thanks, bringing the murderous coward to the stake, he that conceals him death.
When I dissuaded him from his intent, and found him piped to do it, with cursed speech I threatened to discover him. He replied, Thou unpossessing bastard, dost thou think, if I would stand against thee, would the proposal of any trust, virtue, or worth in thee make thy words faith? No. What I should deny, as this I would, though thou didst produce my very character, I'd turn it all to thy suggestion, plot, and damned practice. And thou must make a dullard of the world, if they not thought the profits of my death were very pregnant and potential spurs to make thee seek it.
Oh, strange and fastened villain. Would he deny his letter, said he? I never got him. Hark, the Duke's trumpets, I know not why he comes. All ports I'll bar, the villain shall not scape. The Duke must grant me that. Besides, his picture I will send far and near, that all the kingdom may have due note of him. And of my land, loyal and natural boy, I'll work the means to make thee capable.
Enter Cornwall, Regan, and attendants. How now, my noble friend? Since I came hither, which I can call but now, I have heard strange news.
If it be true, all vengeance comes too short, which can pursue the offender. How dost, my lord?
Oh, madam, my old heart is cracked. It's cracked.
What, did my father's godson seek your life? He whom my father named, your Edgar?
Oh, lady, shame would have it hid.
Was he not companion with the riotous knights that tended upon my father?
I know not, madam, 'tis too bad, too bad.
Yes, madam, he was of that consort.
No marvel then, though he were ill affected. 'Tis they have put him on the old man's death to have the expense and waste of his revenues. I have this present evening from my sister been well informed of them, and with such cautions that if they come to sojourn at my house, I'll not be there.
Nor I, assure thee, Regan. Edmund, I hear that you have shown your father a childlike office.
It was my duty, sir.
He did betray his practice, and received this hurt you see striving to apprehend him.
Is he pursued?
Aye, my good lord.
If he be taken, he shall never more be feared of doing harm. Make your own purpose how in my strength you please. For you, Edmund, whose virtue and obedience doth this instant much commend itself, you shall be ours. Natures of such deep trust we shall much need. You we first seize on.
I shall serve you, sir, truly, however else.
For him I thank your grace.
You know not why we came to visit you.
Thus, out of season, threading dark-eyed night occasions noble Gloucester of some poise, where we must have use of your advice. Our father, he hath writ, so hath our sister, of differences, which I best thought it fit to answer from our home. The several messengers from hence attend dispatch. Our good old friend lay comforts to your bosom and bestow your needful counsel to our business, which craves the instant use.
I serve you, madam. Your graces are right welcome.
They exit. Scene 2. Enter Kent in disguise and Oswald the steward separately.
Good dawning to thee, friend. Art of this house?
Aye.
Where may we set our horses?
In the mire.
Prithee, if thou lovest me, tell me.
I love thee not.
Why then, I care not for thee.
If I had thee in lips very pinfold, I would make thee care for me.
Why dost thou use me thus? I know thee not.
Fellow, I know thee.
What dost thou know me for?
A knave, a rascal, an eater of broken meats, a base, proud, shallow, beggarly, three-suited, 100-pound, filthy worsted, stucking knave, a lily-livered, action-taking, whoreson, glass-gazing, super-serviceable, finical rogue, one trunk-inheriting slave, one that would be a bawd in way of good service, and ought nothing but the composition of a knave, beggar, coward, pander, and the son and heir of a mongrel bitch, one whom I will beat into a clamorous whining if thou deniest the least syllable of thy addition.
Why, what a monstrous fellow art thou thus to rail on one that is neither known of thee nor knows thee.
What a brazen-faced varlet art thou to deny thou knowest me. Is it 2 days ago since I tripped up thy heels and beat thee before the king? Draw, ye rogue. Although it be night, yet the moon shines. I'll make a sup all the moonshine of you, you whoreson, cullionly barbermonger. Draw!
Away! I have nothing to do with thee.
Draw, you rascal! You come with letters against the king and take vanity, the puppet's part against the royalty of her father. Draw, you rogue, oh so carbonata your shanks. Draw, you rascal, come your ways.
Help! Oh! Murder! Help!
Strike, you slave! Stand, rogue! Stand, you neat slave! Strike!
He beats Oswald.
Help! Oh! Murder! Murder!
Enter Bastard Edmund with his rapier drawn, Cornwall, Regan, and Gloucester.
Oh no! What's the matter? Part!
With you, goddamn boy, if you please. Come, I'll flesh you. Come on, young master.
Weapons, arms, what's the matter here?
Keep peace upon your lives. He dies that strikes again. What is the matter?
The messengers from our sister and the king.
What is your difference? Speak.
I am scarce in breath, my lord.
No, Mabel, you have so bestirred your valor, you cowardly rascal. Nature disclaims in thee. A tailor made thee.
Thou art a strange fellow. A tailor make a man?
A tailor, sir. A stonecutter or a painter could not have made him so ill, though they have been but 2 years of the trade.
Speak yet. How grew your quarrel?
This ancient ruffian, sir, whose life I have spared at suit of his grey beard.
Oh, whore son Zed, thou unnecessary letter. My lord, if you will give me leave, I will tread this unbolted villain into mortar and dub the wall of a jakes with him. Spare my grey beard, you wagtail!
Peace, sirrah, you beastly knave. Know you no reverence?
Yes, sir, but anger hath a privilege.
Why art thou angry?
That such a slave as this should wear a sword who wears no honesty. Such smiling rogues as these, like rats, oft bite the holy cords atwain which are too entrenched to loose. Smooth every passion that in the nature that their lords rebel, being oil to fire, snow to the colder moods renege, affirm, and turn their halcyon beaks with every gale and vary of their masters, knowing naught like dogs but following. A plague upon your epileptic visage! Smile you my speech as if I were a fool? Goose, if I had you upon the plain, I'd drive you cackling home to Camelot.
What, art thou mad, old fellow?
How fell you out? Say that.
No contraries hold more antipathy than I and such a knave.
Why dost thou call him knave? What is his fault?
His countenance likes me not.
No more perchance does mine, nor his nor hers.
Sir, 'tis my occupation to be plain. I have seen better faces in my time than stands on any shoulder that I see before me at this instant.
This is some fellow who, having been praised for bluntness, doth affect a saucy roughness and constrains the garb quite from his nature. He cannot flatter, he, an honest mind and plain, he must speak truth, and they will take it so. If not, he's plain. These kinds of knaves I know, which in this plainness harbor more craft and more corrupter ends than 20 silly ducking observants that stretch their duties nicely.
I know, sir, I am no flatterer. He that beguiled you in a plain accent was a plain knave, which for my part I will not be, though I should win your displeasure to entreat me to't.
What was the offense you gave him? Muted.
I never gave him any. It pleased the king his master very late to strike at me upon his misconstruction, when he, compacts and flattering his displeasure, tripped me behind, being down, insulted, railed, and put upon him such a deal of man that worthied him, got praises of the king, for him attempting who was self-subdued, and in defleshment of this dread exploit, drew on me here again.
None of these rogues and cowards but Ajax is their fool.
Fetch forth the stocks. You stubborn ancient knave, you reverent braggart, we'll teach you.
Sir, I am too old to learn. Call not your stocks for me. I serve the king, on whose employment I was sent to you. You shall do small respect, show too bold malice against the grace and person of my master, stalking his messenger.
Fetch forth the stocks. As I have life and honor, there shall he sit till noon.
Till noon, till night, my lord, and all night too.
Why, madam, if I were your father's dog, you should not use me so.
Sir, being his knave, I will.
This is a fellow of that self-same color our sister speaks of. Come, bring in the stocks.
Let me beseech your grace not to do so. His fault is much, and the good king his master will check him for it. Your purposed low correction is such as basest and contemnest wretches for pilferings, and most common trespasses are punished with. The king must take it ill that he, so slightly valued in his messenger, should have him thus restrained.
I'll answer that.
My sister may receive it much more worse to have her gentleman abused, assaulted for following her affairs. Put in his legs.
Come, my good lord, away. All but Gloucester and Kent exit.
I am sorry for thee, friend. 'Tis the duke's pleasure, whose disposition all the world well knows will not be rubbed nor stopped. I'll entreat for thee.
Pray do not, sir. I have watched and traveled hard. Sometime I shall sleep out. The rest, I'll whistle. A good man's fortune may grow out at heels. Give you good morrow.
The duke's to blame in this. 'Twill be ill taken.
He exits.
Good king, thou must approve the common saw. Thou out of heaven's benediction comes to the warm sun. Approach thou beacon to this underglobe, that by thy comfortable beams I may peruse this letter. Nothing almost sees miracles but misery. I know 'tis from Cordelia, who hath most fortunately hath been informed of my obscured course, and shall find time from this enormous state, seeking to give losses their remedies. All weary and o'erwatched, take vantage, heavy eyes, not to behold this shameful lodging. Fortune, good night. Smile once more. Turn thy wheel.
He sleeps. Scene 3. Enter Edgar.
I heard myself proclaimed, and in the happy hollow of a tree, by way escaped the hunt. No port is free. No place that guard and most unusual vigilance does not attend my taking. As I may escape, I will preserve myself. And the thought to take the basest and poorest shape that ever in penury and contempt of man brought near to beast. My face I'll grime with filth, and blanket my loins, and elf all my hair into knots, and presented with nakedness, outface the winds and precautions of the sky. The country gives me proof and precedent of bedlam beggars with roaring voices, strike in their numbed and mortified arms pins, wooden pricks, sprigs of rosemary, and with this horrible object from low farms, poor pelting villages, sheepcoats and mills, sometimes with lunatic bands, sometimes with prayers enforce their charity. Poor Turleygood, poor Tom, there's something yet. Edgar, I nothing am.
He exits. Scene 4. Enter Lear, the Fool, and Gentleman.
It is strange that they should so depart from my home and not send back my messenger.
As I learned the night before, there was no purpose in them of this remove.
Hail to thee, noble master.
Huh? Makest thou this shame thy pastime?
No, my lord.
He wears cruel garters. Horses are tied by the heads, dogs and bears by the neck, monkeys by the loins, and men by the legs. When a man's o'er lustier legs, then he wears wooden nether stocks.
What's he that hath
so much thy place mistook to set thee here?
It is both he and she, your son and daughter.
No.
Yes.
No, I say.
I say yea.
By Jupiter, I swear no.
By Juno, I swear aye.
They durst not, they could not, would not do it. 'Tis worse than murder to do upon respect such violent outrage. Resolve me with all modest haste, which way thou mightst deserve, or they impose this usage coming from us.
My lord, when at their home I did command your highness's letters to them. Ere I was risen from the place that showed my duty kneeling, came there a reeking post stewed in his haste, half breathless, panting forth from GONERIL his mistress' salutations, delivered letters, spite of intermission, which presently they read, on whose contents they summoned up their many straight took horse, commanded me to follow and attend the leisure of their answer, gave me cold looks, and meeting here the other messenger, whose welcome I perceived had poisoned mine, being the very fellow which of late displayed so saucily against your highness, having more man than wit about me, drew. He raised the house with loud and coward cries. Your son and daughter found this trespass worth the shame which here it suffers.
Winter's not gone yet if the wild geese fly that way. Fathers that wear rags do make their children blind, but fathers that bear bags shall see their children kind. Fortune, that errant whore, ne'er turns the key to the poor. But for all this, thou shalt have as many dolours for thy daughters as thou canst tell in a year.
Oh, how this mother swells up toward my heart. Hysterica passio, down, thou climbing sorrow. Thy elements below. Where is this daughter?
With the Earl, sir, here within.
Follow me not, stay there.
Lear exits.
Made you no more offense, but what you speak of.
How chance the king comes with so small a number?
Now it's been set in the stocks. For that question, thou'st well deserved it.
Why, fool?
We'll set thee to school to an ant to teach thee there's no laboring in the winter. All that follow their noses are led by their eyes, but blind men, and there's not a nose among 20 but can smell him that's thinking. Let go thy hold. When a great wheel runs down a hill, lest it break thy neck with following, but the great one that goes upward, let him draw thee after. When a wise wise man gives thee better counsel, give me mine again. I would have none but knaves follow it, since a fool gives it. That, sir, which serves and thinks for gain, and follows but for form, will pack when it begins to rain, and leave thee in the storm. But I will tarry, the fool will stay. And let the wise man fly. The knave turns fool that runs away, the fool no knave, perdie.
Well, and you this, fool.
Not in the stocks, fool.
Enter Lear and Gloucester.
Deny to speak with me? They are sick, they are weary, they have traveled all the night. They're fetches, the images of revolt and flying off. Fetch me a better answer.
My dear lord, you know the fiery quality of the Duke, how unremovable and fixed he is in his own course.
Vengeance, plague, death, confusion, fiery? What quality? Why, Gloucester, I'll speak with the Duke of Cornwall and his wife.
Well, my good lord, I have informed them so.
Informed them? Dost thou understand me, man?
Aye, my good lord.
The king would speak with Cornwall. The dear father would with his daughter speak. Commands, tends service. Are they informed of this? My breath and blood fiery? The fiery Duke? Tell the hot Duke that... No, not yet. Maybe he is not well. Infirmity doth still neglect all office, whereto our health is bound. We are not ourselves, when nature, being oppressed, commands the mind to suffer with the body. I'll forbear, and am fallen out with my more headier will, to take the indisposed and sickly fit for the sound man. Death on my state! Wherefore should he still sit here? This act persuades me that this remotion of the Duke and her is practice only. Give me my servant forth. Go tell the Duke and his wife I'll speak with them. Now, presently bid them come forth and hear me, or at their chamber door I'll beat the drum till it cry, sleep to death.
I would have all well betwixt you.
Gloucester exits.
Oh me, my heart, my rising heart, but down.
Cry to it, nuncle, as the cockney did to the eels when she put them in the paste alive. She knacked them in the coxcombs, and they with a stick and cried, down, wantons, down. 'Twas her brother that in pure kindness to his horse buttered his hay.
Enter Cornwall and Regan.
Good morrow to you both.
Hail to your grace.
I am glad to see your highness.
Regan, I think you are. I know what reason I have to think so. If thou shouldst not be glad, I would divorce me from thy mother's tomb, sepulchring an adulteress. Oh, are you free? Some other time for that. Beloved Regan, thy sister's not. Oh, Regan, she hath tied sharp-toothed unkindness like a vulture here. I can scarcely speak to thee. Thou'lt not believe with how depraved a quality. Oh, Regan.
I pray you, sir, take patience. I have hope you less know how to value her desert than she to scant her duty.
Say, how is that?
I cannot think my sister in the least would fail her obligation. If, sir, perchance she hath restrained the riots of your followers, 'tis on such ground and to such wholesome end as clears her from all blame.
My curse is on her.
Oh, sir, you are old. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. You should be ruled and led by some discretion that discerns your state better than you yourself. Therefore, I pray you, that to our sister you do make return. Say you have wronged her.
Ask her forgiveness? Do you but mark how this becomes the house? Dear daughter, I confess that I am old. Age is unnecessary. On my knees I beg that you vouchsafe me raiment, bed, and food.
Good sir, no more. These are unsightly tricks. Return you to my sister.
Never, Regan. She hath abated me of half my train. looked back upon me, struck me with her tongue, most serpent-like, upon the very heart. All the stored vengeances of heaven fall on her ungrateful top. Strike her young bones, you taking airs with lameness.
Fie, sir, fie.
Nimble lightnings dart her blinding flames into her scornful eyes. Infect her beauty, you fen-socked fogs drawn by the powerful sun to fall and blister.
Oh, the blessed God, so will you wish on me when the rash mood is on.
No, Regan, thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender-hefted nature shall not give thee o'er to harshness. Her eyes are fierce, but thine do comfort and not burn. 'Tis not in thee to grudge my pleasures, to cut off my train, to bandy hasty words, to scant my sizes, and in conclusion to oppose the bolts against my coming in. Thou better know'st the offices of nature, bond of childhood, effects of courtesy, dues of gratitude. Thy half the kingdom hast thou not forgot, wherein I thee endowed.
Good sir, to the purpose.
Who put my man in the stocks?
What trumpet's that?
I know it. My sister's. This approves her letter that she would soon be here.
This is a slave whose easy borrowed pride dwells in the fickle grace of her he follows. Out, varlet, from my sight.
What means your grace?
Who stalked my servant? Regan, I have good hope thou didst not know it.
Enter GONERIL.
Who comes here? Oh, heavens, if you do love old men, if your sweet sway allow obedience, if you yourselves are old, make it your cause. Send down and take my part. Art not ashamed to look upon this beard? Oh, Regan, will you take her by the hand?
Why not by the hand, sir? How have I offended? All's not offense that indiscretion finds in dotage terms so.
Besides, you are too tough. Will you yet hold? How came my man in the stocks?
I set him there, sir, but for his own disorders, deserved much less advancement.
You? Did you?
I pray you, father, being weak seems so. If till the expiration of your month you will return and sojourn with my sister, dismissing half your train, come then to me. I am now from home and out of that provision which shall be needful for your entertainment.
Return to her? And 50 men dismissed? No, rather I abjure all roofs, and choose to wage the enmity of the air, to be a comrade with the wolf and owl, necessity's sharp pinch. Return with her? Why, the hot-blooded France, that dowerless took our youngest born. I should as well be brought to knee his throne, and squire like pension beg to keep base life afoot. Return with her? Persuade me rather to be slave and sumpter to this detested groom.
At your choice, sir.
I prithee, daughter, do not make me mad. I will not trouble thee, my child. Farewell. We'll no more meet, no more see one another, but yet thou art my flesh, my blood, my daughter, or rather a disease that in my flesh which I must needs call mine. Thou art a boil, a plague sore, or an embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood. But I'll not chide thee. Let shame come when it will. I do not call it. I do not bid the thunder bearer shoot, or tell tales of thee to high judging Jove. And then when thou canst, be better at thy leisure. I can be patient. I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 knights.
Not altogether so. I looked not for you yet, nor am provided for your fit welcome. Give ear, sir, to my sister, for those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you are old, and so, but she knows what she does.
Is this well spoken?
I dare avouch it, sir. What, 50 followers? Is it not well? What should you need of more? Yea, or so many sit that both charge and danger speak against so great a number. How in one house should many people under two commands hold enmity? 'Tis hard, almost impossible.
Why might not you, my lord, receive attendance from those that she calls servants, or from mine?
Why not, my lord? If then they chance to slack you, we could control them. If you will come to me, for now I spy a danger, I entreat you to bring but 25, to no more will I give place or notice.
I gave you all.
And in good time you gave it.
Made you my guardians, my depositaries. But kept a reservation to be followed with such a number. What, must I come to you with 25? Regan said you so.
And speak again, my lord, no more with me.
Those wicked creatures yet do look well favored when others are more wicked. Not being the worst stands in some rank of praise. I'll go with thee. Thy 50 yet doth double 25, and thou art twice her love.
Hear me, my lord. What need you 25, or 10, or 5, to follow in a house where twice so many have command to tend you?
What need one?
Oh, reason not the need. Our basest beggars are in the poorest things superfluous. Allow not nature more than nature needs. Man's life is cheap as a beast's. Thou art a lady. If only to go warm or gorgeous, why, nature needs not what thou gorgeous wear'st, which scarcely keeps thee warm. But for true need, you heavens, give me that patience I need. You see me here, you gods, a poor old man, as full of grief as age, wretched in both. If it be you that stirs these daughters' hearts against their father, fool me not so much to bear it tamely. Touch me with noble anger, and let not women's weapons water drop stain my man's cheeks. No, you unnatural hags, I will have such revenges on you both that all the world I will do such things. What they are yet, I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. You think I'll weep? No, I'll not weep. I will have full cause of weeping, but this heart shall break into 100,000 flaws, or ere I'll weep. Oh, fool! I shall go mad.
Lear, Kent, and Fool exit as a storm rages. Let us withdraw. 'Twill be a storm.
This house is little. The old man and his people cannot be well bestowed.
'Tis his own blame hath put himself from rest, and must needs taste his folly.
For his particular, I'll receive him gladly, but not one follower.
So I am purposed. Where is my lord of Gloucester?
Follow the old man forth? Ah, he is returned.
The king is in a high rage.
Whither is he going?
He calls to horse, but I know not whither.
'Tis best to give him way. He leads himself.
My lord, entreat him by no means to stay.
Lack, the night comes on, and the high winds do sorely ruffle. For many miles about, there's scarce a bush.
Oh, sir, to willful men the injuries that they themselves procure must be their schoolmasters. Shut up your doors. He is attended with a desperate train, and what they may incense him to, being apt to have his ear abused. Wisdom bids fear.
Shut up your doors, my lord. 'Tis a wild night. My Regan counsels well. Come out of the storm. They exit. Act 3, Scene 1. The storm still rages. Enter Kent in disguise and a gentleman separately.
Who's there besides foul weather?
One-minded like the weather, most unquietly.
I know you. Where's the king?
contending with the fretful elements, bids the wind blow the earth into the sea, or swell the curled waters above the main, that things might change or cease, tears his white hair, which the impetuous blasts with eyeless rage catch in their fury and make nothing of, strives in his little world of man to outscorn the to and fro conflicting wind and rain. This night, wherein the cub-drawn bear would couch, the lion and the belly-pinched wolf keep their fur dry, unbonneted, he runs and bids what will take all.
But who is with him?
None but the fool, who labors to outjest his heart-struck injuries.
Sir, I too know you, and dare upon the warrant of my note command a dear thing to you. There is division, although as yet the face of it is covered with mutual cunning, twixt Albany and Cornwall, who have not, that their great stars throned and set high, servants who seem no less, which are to France the spies and speculations intelligent of our state. From France there comes a power into the scattered kingdom, who already wise in our negligence have secret feet in some of our best ports, and are at point to show their open banner. Now, to you, if on my credit you dare build so far to make your speed to Dover, you shall find some that will thank you, making just report of how unnatural and bematting sorrow the king hath caused to plain, what hath been seen, either in snuffs and packings of the dukes, or the hard reign in which both of them have borne against the old kind king, or something deeper, whereof perchance these are but furnishings. I am a gentleman of blood and breeding, and from some knowledge and assurance offer this office to you.
I will talk further with you.
No, do not. For confirmation that I am much more than my outwall, open this purse and take what it contains. You shall see Cordelia, as fear not, but you shall. Show her this ring, and she will tell you who that fellow is that yet you do not know. Fight on the storm. I will go seek the king.
Give me your hand. Have you no more to say?
Few words, but to effect more of an old yet, that when we have found the king in which your pain that way, out as he has first lights on him, hollow the other.
They exit separately. Scene 2. The storm continues to rage. Enter Lear and the fool.
Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow. You cataracts and hurricanos, spout to have drenched our steeples, drowned the cocks. You sulphurous and thought-executing fires, vaunt couriers of oak-cleaving thunderbolts, singe my white head. And thou, all shaking thunder, strike flat the thick rotundity of the world, crack nature's molds, all Germans spill at once that makes ingrateful man.
Oh, uncle, court holy water in a dry house is better than this rainwater out of door. Good nuncle, in, ask thy daughter's blessing. Here's a night pities neither wise men nor fools.
Rumble thy belly full, spit fire, spout rain. No rain, wind, thunder, fire are my daughters. I tax not you, you elements, with unkindness. I never gave you kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscription. Then let fall your horrible pleasure. Here I stand your slave, a poor, infirm, weak, despised old man. But yet I call you servile ministers, that will with two pernicious daughters join your high engendered battles gainst a head so old and white as this. Oh, ho! 'Tis foul.
He that has a house to put his head in has a good headpiece. The codpiece that will house before the head has any, the head and he shall louse, so beggars marry many. The man that makes his toe what he his heart should make shall of the corn cry woe, and turn his sleep to wake. For there was never yet fair woman, but she made mouths in a glass.
No, I will be the pattern of all patience. I will say nothing.
Enter Kent in disguise.
Who's there?
Mary, here's Grace and a codpiece. That's a wise man and a fool.
Alas, sir, are you here? Things that love night love not such nights as these. The wrathful skies gallow the very wanderers of the dark and make them keep their caves. Since I was man, such sheets of fire, such bursts of horrid thunder, such groans of roaring wind and rain I never remember to have heard. Man's nature cannot carry the affliction nor the fear.
Let the great gods that keep this dreadful putter o'er our heads find out their enemies now. Tremble, thou wretch, that hast within thee undivulged crimes, unwhipped of justice. Hide thee, thou bloody hand, thou perjured, and thou similar of virtue. Thou art incestuous, cateleth, to pieces shake, that under covert and convenient seeming has practiced on man's life. Close pent-up guilts, rive your concealing countenance, and cry these dreadful summoners grace. I am a man more sinned against than sinning.
Alack, bareheaded. Gracious my lord, hard by here is a hovel. Some friendship will it lend you against the tempest, or oppose you there while I to this hard house, more harder than the stones whereof 'tis raised, which even but now, demanding after you, denied me to come in return, and forced their scanted courtesy.
My wits begin to turn. Come on, my boy. How dost, my boy? Art cold? I'm cold myself. Where's this straw, my fellow? Thou art of our necessities is strange, and can make vile things precious. Come, your hovel. Poor fool and knave. I have one part in my heart that's sorry yet for thee.
He that has and a tiny little wit, with hey ho, the wind and the rain, must be content with his fortune's fit, though the rain it raineth every day.
True, my good boy. Come, bring us to this hovel.
Lear and Kent exit.
This is a brave night to cool a courtesan. I'll speak a prophecy ere I go. When priests are more in word than matter, when brewers mar their malt with water, when nobles are their tailors' tutors, no heretics burn but wenches' suitors, when every case in law is right, no squire in debt, nor no poor knight, when slanders do not live in tongues, nor cutpurses come not to throngs, when usurers tell their gold in the field, and bawds and whores dupe churches build, then shall the realm of Albion come to great confusion. Then comes the time, who lives to see it, that going shall be used with feet. This prophecy Merlin shall make, for I lived before his time.
He exits. Scene 3. Enter Gloucester and Edmund.
Alack, alack, Edmund, that's unnatural dealing. When I desired their leave, I paid me the use of mine own house, charged me on pain of perpetual displeasure, neither to speak of him, entreat for him, or in any way sustain him.
Most savage and unnatural.
Go to, say you nothing. There is division between the dukes, and a worse matter than that. I've received a letter this night. 'Tis dangerous to be spoken. I've locked the letter in my closet. These injuries the king now bears will be revenged home. There is part of a power already footed. We must incline to the king. I will look him and privately relieve him. Go you and maintain talk with the duke, that my charity be not of him perceived. If he ask for me, I am ill and gone to bed. If I die for it, as no less is threatened to me. The king, my old master, must be relieved. There is strange things toward Edmund. Pray you, be careful.
Gloucester exits.
This courtesy forbid thee, shall the Duke instantly know, and of that letter too. This seems a fair deserving, and must draw me that which my father loses, no less than all. The younger rises when the old doth fall.
He exits. Scene 4. With the storm still raging, Lear, Kent in disguise, and the fool approach the hovel.
Here is the place, my lord. Good my lord, enter. The tyranny of the open night's too rough for nature to endure.
Let me alone.
Good my lord, enter here.
Wilt break my heart?
I'd rather break my own. Good my lord, enter.
Thou think'st 'tis much that this contentious storm invades us to the skin. So 'tis to thee. But the greater malady is fixed, the lesser is scarce felt. Thou'dst shun a bear, but if thy flight lay toward the roaring sea, thou'dst meet the bear in the mouth. And the mind's free, the body's delicate. This tempest in my mind doth from my senses take all feeling else save what beats there. Filial ingratitude! Is it not as if this mouth should tear this hand for lifting food to it? But I will punish home. No, I will weep no more. In such a night to shut me out? Pour on, I will endure in such a night as this, O Regan, GONERIL, your kind old father whose frank heart gave all. Oh, that way madness lies. Let me shun that, no more of that.
Good my lord, enter here.
Prithee, go in yourself, seek thine own ease. This tempest will not leave me to ponder on things would hurt me more. But I'll go in. In, boy, go first. You houseless poverty. Nay, get thee in, I'll pray, and then I'll sleep.
The fool exits.
Poor naked wretches, for so you are, that bide the pelting of this pitiless storm. How shall your houseless heads and unfed sides, your looped and windowed raggedness defend you from seasons such as these? Oh, I'm ta'en too little care of this. Take physic, calm. Expose thyself to feel what wretches feel, that thou mayst shake the superflux to them and show the heavens more just.
Enter the fool.
Uncle! Here's a spirit! Help me! Help me!
Give me thy hand. Who's there?
A spirit! A spirit! He says his name's poor Tom.
What art thou that dost crumble there in a straw? Come forth!
Enter Edgar in disguise.
The fell fiend follows me! Through the sharp hawthorn the wind blows cold. Go to thy cold wind, and let thy bed warm thee.
Didst thou give all to thy daughters, and art thou come to this?
Who gives anything to poor Tom, whom the foul fiend follows through fire and through flame, through ford and through whirlpool, of bog and quagmire, that hath laid knives under his pillows, and knives in his pews, and rat's bane near his porridge. Made him proud to be on a bay-trotting horse over 4-inch bridges to course his own shadow for a traitor. Bless thy 5 wits, Tom's a cold. Bless thee windwards, star blasting and taking. Do poor Tom some charity when the foul fiend vexes. There, I have him now. There again, and there.
Has his daughters brought him to this pass? Couldst thou save nothing? Wouldst thou give him all?
Nay, he reserved a blanket, else we had all been shamed.
Now, all the plagues that in the pendulous air hang fated o'er men's faults, light on thy daughters.
He hath no daughters, sir.
Death, traitor, nothing could have subdued nature to such lowness but his unkind daughters. Is it the fashion that discarded fathers should have thus little mercy on their flesh? Judicious punishment. 'Twas this flesh begot those pelican daughters.
This cold night will turn us all to fools and madmen.
Take heed of the foul fiend. Obey thy parents. Keep thy word's justice. Swear not. Commit not with man's sworn spouse. Not thy sweet heart on thy proud array. Time's cold.
What hast thou been?
A serving man, proud in heart and mind, that curled my hair, wore gloves in my cap, serves the lust of my mistress's heart, swore as many oaths as I spake words, and broke them in the sweet face of heaven. One that slept in the contriving of lust, and waked to do it. Wine I loved dearly, dice deeply, and in women I'll paramored the Turk. False of heart, light of ear, bloody of hand, hog in sloth, and fox in stealth, wolf in greediness, dog in madness, lion in prey. Let not the creaking of shoes and the rustling of silks betray thy poor heart to women. Keep thy foot out of brothels, thy pen from lenders' books, and defy the foul fiend. Still, the hawthorn wind blows cold. Says some money. Dolphin, my boy, Sessa! Let him chop by.
Thou wert better in a grave than to answer with thy uncovered body this extremity of the skies. Is man no more than this? Consider him well. Thou owest the worm no silk, the beast no hide, the sheep no wool, the cat no perfume. Ah, here's three answers sophisticated. Thou art the thing itself. An accommodated man is no more but such poor, bare, forked animal as thou art. Off, you lendings. Come, unbutton here.
Uncle, be contented. 'Tis a naughty night to swim in. Now, a little fire in a wild field were like an old lecher's heart. A small spark, all the rest on his body cold.
Enter Gloucester with a torch.
Look, here comes a walking fire.
This is the foul fiend flipper to give it. He starts at curfew and walks till the first cock. He gives the web and the pin, and squints the eye and makes the hairlet, mildews the white wheat, and hurts the poor creatures of the earth. Swift-footed the creature of thrice the fold, he met a nightmare in her ninefold, bitter light in her truth no flight. Aroint thee, witch! Aroint thee!
How fares your grace?
What's he?
Who's there? What's you seek?
What are you there? Your names?
Poor Tom, that eats the swimming frog, the toad, the tadpole, the wall-newt in the water, that in the fury of his heart, when the foul fiend rages, eats cow dung for solace, swallows the old rat and ditch dog, drinks the green mantle of the standing pool, who is whipped from tithing to tithing, and sacked and punished and imprisoned, who hath 3 suits to his back, 6 shirts to his body, horse to ride and weapon to wear, but mice and rats and such small deer have been Tom's food for 7 long years. Beware my follower. Peace, Smallkin! Peace, thou fiend!
What, hath your grace no better company?
The Prince of Darkness is a gentleman, Modal he is called in Mehu.
Our flesh and blood, my lord, is grown so vile that it doth hate what gets it.
What Tom's cold.
Go in with me. My duty cannot suffer to obey in all your daughter's hard commands, though their injunction be to bar my doors and let this tyrannous night take hold upon you. Yet I have ventured to come seek you out and bring you where both fire and food is ready.
First, let me talk with this philosopher. What is the cause of thunder?
Good my lord, take his offer, go into the house.
I'll talk a word with this same learned Theban. What is your study?
How to prevent the fiend and kill vermin.
Let me ask you one word in private.
Coaching him once more to go, my lord. His wits begin to unsettle.
Canst thou blame him? His daughters seek his death, and that good Kent, he said it would be thus for banished man. Thou sayest the king grows mad, and I'll tell thee, friend, I'm almost mad myself. I had a outlawed from my blood. He sought my life, but very late. I loved him, friend. No father his son dearer. True to tell thee, the grief hath crazed my wits. What a night's this! I do beseech your grace.
Oh, cry you mercy, sir. Noble philosopher, your company.
Tom's cold.
In, fellow, there, into the hovel. Keep thee warm.
Come, let's in all.
This way, my lord.
With him. I will keep still with my philosopher.
Good my lord, soothe him. Let him take the fellow.
Take him you on.
Sirrah, come on, go along with us.
Come, good Athenian.
No words, no words, hush.
Child Rollin to the dark tower came. His word was still fee, fi, and fum. I smell the blood of a British man.
They exit. Scene 5. Enter Cornwall and Edmund with a paper. I will have my revenge ere I depart this house.
How, my lord, I may be censured, that nature thus gives way to loyalty. Something fears me to think of.
I now perceive it was not altogether your brother's evil disposition made him seek his death, but a provoking merit set a work by a reprovable badness in himself.
How malicious is my fortune, that I must repent to be just. This is the letter I spoke of, which approves him as an intelligent party to the advantages of France. Oh heavens, that this treason were not, or not I, the detector.
Go with me to the Duchess.
If the matter of this paper be certain, you have mighty business in hand.
True or false, it hath made thee Earl of Gloucester. Seek out where their father is, that he may be ready for our apprehension.
If I find him comforting the king, it will stuff his suspicion more fully. I will persevere in the course of my loyalty, though the conflict be sore between that and my blood.
I will lay trust upon thee, and thou shalt find a dearer father in my love. They exit. Scene 6. Enter Kent in disguise and Gloucester.
Here is better than the open air. Take it thankfully. I will piece out the comfort with what addition I can. Will not be long from you.
The power of his wits have given way to his impatience. The gods reward you for your kindness.
Gloucester exits. Enter Lear, Edgar in disguise, and Fool.
The tarot calls me and tells me that Nero is an angler in the lake of darkness. Pray, innocent, and beware the foul fiend.
Pretty nuncle, tell me whether a madman be a gentleman or a yeoman.
A king, a king.
Nope, he's a yeoman that has a gentleman to his son, for he's a mad yeoman that sees his son a gentleman before him.
To have 1,000 with red burning spits come hissing in upon him.
The foul fiend bites my back.
He's mad that trusts in the tameness of a wolf, a horse's health, a boy's love, or a whore's oath.
It shall be done. I will arraign them straight. Come, sit thou here, most learned justice. Thou, sapient sir, sit here. Now, you she-foxes.
Look where he stands and glares. Once thou was the eyes at trial, madam. Come o'er the burn, Bessie, to me.
Her boat hath a leak, and she must not speak. Why she dares not come over to thee?
That thou fiend haunts for Tom in the voice of a nightingale. Of a dance cries in Tom's belly for 2 white herring. Croak not, black angel, I have no food for thee.
How do you, sir? Stand you not so amazed? Will you lie down and rest upon the cushions?
I'll see their trial first. Bring in the evidence. Thou robed man of justice, take thy place. And thou, his yoke fellow of equity, bench by his side. You are the commission. Sit you too.
Let us deal justly. Sleepest or wakest, thou jolly shepherd, thy sheep be in the corn, and for one blast of thy minikin mouth, thy sheep shall take no harm. The cat is gray.
Arraign her first, 'tis GONERIL. I here take my oath before this honorable assembly. Kick the poor king, her father.
Hither, mistress. Is your name GONERIL?
She cannot deny it.
Cry you mercy, I took you for a joint stool.
And here's another whose warped looks proclaim what store her heart is made on. Stop her there! Arms, arms, sword, fire, corruption in the palace. False justiciar, what hast thou let her escape?
Bless thy 5 wits.
Oh, pity. Sir, where is the patience now that you so oft have boasted to retain?
My tears begin to take his part so much, they mar my counterfeiting.
Little dogs and all. Tray, Blanche, and Sweetheart. See, they bark at me.
Tom, throw his head at them! Avaunt, you curs! Be thy mouth black or white, tooth that poisons if it bite. Mastiff, greyhound, mongrel grim, hound or spaniel, back or limb, bobtail, tiger, trundle tail. Tom will make them weep and wail. For with the throwing of my head, dogs leap the hatch and all are fled. Oh, Sessa, come, mark the wakes and fairs and market towns. Poor Tom, my horn is dry.
Then let them anatomize REGAN. See what breeds about her heart. Is there any cause in nature that make these hard hearts? You, sir, entertain for one of my 100. Only, I do not like the fashion of your garments. You will say they are Persian, but let them be changed.
Now, good my lord, lie here and rest a while.
Make no noise. Make no noise. Draw the curtains. So, we'll go to supper in the morning.
And I'll go to bed at noon.
Enter Gloucester.
Come hither, friend. Where's the king, my master?
Here, sir, but trouble him not, his wits are gone.
Good friend, I prithee, take him in thy arms. I have overheard a plot of death upon him. There's a litter ready, lay him in it, and drive toward Dover, friend, where thou shalt meet both welcome and protection. Take up thy master. If thou shouldst dally half an hour, his life with thine and all that offer to defend him stand in assured loss. Take up, and follow me. That will to some provision give thee quick conduct.
Oppressed nature sleeps. This rest might yet have balmed thy broken sinews, which, if convenience will not allow, stand in hard cure. Come, help to bear thy master. Thou must not stay behind.
Come away.
All but Edgar exit, carrying Lear.
When our betters see bearing our woes, when we see our betters bearing our woes, we scarcely think our miseries are foes. Who alone suffers the most in mind, leaving free things and happy shows behind? But then the mind much sufferance doth o'erskip, when grief hath mates and bearing fellowship.
How light and portable my pain seems now, than when that which makes me bend makes the king bow. He childed as I fathered. Away. Mark the high noises and thyself bewray when false opinion, whose thoughts defile thee, in thy just proof repeals and reconciles thee. What will hap more tonight? Safe scape the king. Lurk, lurk.
He exits. Scene 7. Enter Cornwall, Regan, Goneril, and Edmund the Bastard. Post speedily to my lord your husband. Show him this letter. The army of France has landed. Seek thou out the traitor Gloucester.
Hang him instantly.
Pluck out his eyes.
Leave him to my displeasure. Edmund, keep you our sister company. The revenges we are bound to take upon your traitorous father are not fit for your beholding. Advise the Duke where you are going to a most festinate preparation. We are bound to the like. Our post shall be swift and intelligent between us. Farewell, dear sister. Farewell, my lord of Gloucester. Enter Oswald the steward. How now? Where's the king?
My lord of Gloucester hath conveyed him hence, some 5 or 6 and 30 of his knights, hot questress after him, that met him at gate, who, with some other of the lord's dependents, are going with him toward Dover, where they boast to have well-armed friends.
Get horses for your mistress.
Farewell, sweet lord and sister.
Edmund, farewell. Goneril and Edmund exit. Go, seek the traitor Gloucester. Pinion him like a thief. Bring him before us, though well we may not pass upon his life without the form of justice. Yet our power shall do courtesy to our wrath, which men may blame but not control. Enter Gloucester and servants. Who's there? The traitor?
Ingrateful fox, 'tis he.
Bind fast his corky arms.
What means your graces? Good my friends, consider you are my guests. Do me no foul play, friends.
Bind him, I say.
Hard, hard, O filthy traitor.
Unmerciful lady as you are, I'm none.
To this chair, bind him. Villain, thou shalt find.
So white and such a traitor.
Naughty lady. I'm your host. With robber's hands my hospitable favors you should not ruffle thus. What will you do?
Come, sir, what letters had you late from France?
Be simple answered, for we know the truth.
And what confederacy have you with the traitors late footed in the kingdom?
To whose hands have you sent the lunatic king? Speak.
I have a letter gettingly set down, which came from one that's of a neutral heart, not from one opposed.
Cunning.
And false.
Where hast thou sent the king?
Dover.
Wherefore to Dover? Wast thou not charged at peril?
Wherefore to Dover? Let him answer that.
Tied to the stake, and I must stand the course.
Wherefore to Dover?
Because I would not see thy cruel nails pluck out his poor eyes, nor thy fierce sister in his anointed flesh stick boorish fangs. The sea, with such a storm as his bare head in hell-black night endured, would have buoyed up and quenched the stellid fires. Yet, poor old heart, he holp the heavens to rain. If wolves had at thy gate howled at that stern time, thou shouldst have said, good porter, turn the key, all cruels else subscribe. But I shall see winged vengeance overtake such children.
See it, thou shalt never. Fellows, hold the chair. Upon these eyes of thine, I'll set my foot.
He that will live to think till he be old, give me some help. Oh, cruel, oh, you gods!
One side will mock another, the other too.
Oh, if you see vengeance.
Hold your hand, my lord. I have served you ever since I was a child. But better service have I never done you than now to bid you hold.
How now, you dog?
If you did wear a beard upon your chin, I'd shake it on this quarrel. What do you mean?
My villain, draw.
Nay then, come on and take the chance of anger.
Give me thy sword. A peasant stand up thus.
Oh! I am slain. My lord, you have but one eye left to see some mischief on him. Oh.
Lest it see more, prevent it. Out, vile jelly.
All dark and comfortless? Where's my son Edmund? Edmund, and give them all the sparks of nature to quit this horrid act!
Out, treacherous villain, thou call'st on him that hates thee. 'Twas he that made the overture of thy treasons to us, who is too good to pity thee.
My folly, that Edgar was abused. Kind gods, forgive me that and prosper him.
Go thrust him out of gates, and let him smell his way to Dover. How is't, my lord? How look you?
I have received a hurt. Follow me, lady. Turn out that eyeless villain. Throw this slave upon the dunghill. Oh, Regan, I bleed apace. Untimely comes this hurt. Give me your arm. Cornwall and Regan exit. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Edgar in disguise.
Yet better thus, to be and known to be contented, than contented and still flattered. To be worst, the lowest and dejected thing of fortune, stands still in esperance, lives not in fear. The lamentable change is from the best, the worst returns to laughter. Welcome, then, thou unsubstantial air that I embrace. Thou, the wretch that thou hast blown unto the worst, owes nothing to thy blasts. But who comes here?
Enter Gloucester and an old man.
My father, poorly led. World, oh world, but that thy strange mutations make us hate thee, life would not yield to age.
Oh, my good lord, I have been your tenant and your father's tenant these 80 years.
Hey,
you cannot see your way.
I have no full loftiest seen our means secure us, and our mere defects prove our commodities. Dear son Edgar, thy fool of thy abused father's wrath, might I but live to see thee in my touch, I'd say I had eyes again.
How now? Who's there?
Oh gods, who can say I am at the worst? I am worse than I e'er was.
'Tis poor mad Tom.
And worse I may be yet. The worst is not so long as we can say this is the worst.
Fellow, where goest?
Is it a beggar man?
Madman and beggar too.
He has some reason, else he could not beg. The last night's storm I such a fellow saw, which made me think a man a worm. My son came then into my mind. Yet my mind was then scarce friends with him. I have heard more since, as flies to wanton boys are we to the gods. They kill us for their sport.
Should this be? Bad is the trade that must play full to sorrow, angering itself and others. Bless thee, master.
Is that the naked fellow?
Aye, my lord.
Then prithee, get thee away. If for my sake thou wilt o'ertake us hence a mile or twain in the way toward Dover, do it for ancient love, and bring some covering for this naked soul, which I'll entreat to lead me.
Alack, sir, he is mad.
'Tis the time's plague, when madmen lead the blind. Do as I bid thee, or rather do thy pleasure. Above the rest, be gone.
I'll bring him the best apparel that I have. Come on, what will.
He exits.
Sirrah, naked fellow.
Poor Tom's a cold. I cannot doubt it further.
Come hither, fellow.
And yet I must. Bless thy sweet eyes, they bleed.
Knowest thou the way to Dover?
Both style and gait, horseway and footpath, poor Tom hath been scared out of his good wit. Bless thee, the good man's son, from the foul fiend. 5 fiends have been in poor Tom at once. Of lust has a bidicate, Abadidance, prince of dumbness, Mahu of stealing, Moho of murder, Flirtigibbet of mopping and mowing, who since possesses chambermaids and waiting women. Bless thee, master.
Here, take this purse, thou whom the heaven's plagues have tumbled to all strokes, that I am wretched makes thee happier. Heavens, deal so still. Let the superfluous and lust-dieted man that slaved your ordinance, that will not see because he does not feel your power quickly. So distribution should undo excess, and each man have enough. Dost thou know Dover?
Aye, master.
There is a cliff, whose high and bending head looks fearfully in the confined deep. Bring me but to the very brim of it, and I'll repair the misery thou dost bear with something rich about me. From that place I shall no leading need.
Give me thy arm. Poor Tom will lead thee.
They exit. Scene 2. Enter Goneril and Edmund the Bastard.
Welcome, my lord. I marvel our mild husband not met us on the way.
Enter Oswald the steward.
Now, where's your master?
Madam, within, but never man so changed. I told him of the army that was landed. He smiled at it. I told him you were coming. His answer was the worse. Of Gloucester's treachery and of the loyal service of his son, when I informed him, then he called me sot and told me I had turned the wrong side out. What most he should dislike seems pleasant to him, what like offensive.
Then you shall go no further. It is the cowish terror of his spirit that dares not undertake. He'll not feel wrongs which tie him to an answer. Our wishes on the way may prove effects. Back, Edmund, to my brother. Hasten his musters and conduct his powers. I must change names at home and give the distaff into my husband's hands. This trusty servant shall pass between us. Ere long you are like to hear, if you dare venture in your own behalf, a mistress's command. Wear this. Spare speech. Decline your head. This kiss, if it durst speak, would stretch thy spirits up into the air. Conceive, and fare thee well.
Yours in the ranks of death.
Edmund exits.
My most dear Gloucester. Oh, the difference of man and man. To thee a woman's services are due. My fool usurps my body.
Madam, here comes my lord.
He exits. Enter Albany.
I have been worth the whistle.
Oh, Goneril, you are not worth the dust which the rude wind blows in your face. I fear your disposition. That nature which contemns its origin cannot be bordered certain in itself. She that herself will silver and disbranch from her material sap perforce must wither and come to deadly youth.
No more. The text is foolish.
Wisdom and goodness to the vile seem vile. Filth savor but themselves. What have you done? Not tigers, not daughters, what have you performed? A father and gracious aged man, whose reverence even the head-lugged bear would lick? Most barbarous, most degenerate have you madded. Could my good brother suffer you to do it? A man, a prince, by him so benefited. If that the heavens do not their visible spirits send quickly down to tame these vile offenses, it will come. Humanity must perforce prey on itself like monsters of the deep.
Milk-livered man, thou bear'st a cheek for blows, a head for wrongs. Who hast not in thy brows an eye discerning thy honour from thy suffering? Thou not know'st fools do those villains pity who are punished ere they have done their mischief. Where's thy drum? France spreads his banners in our noiseless land, with plumed helm thy state begins to threat, whilst thou, a moral fool, sits still and cries, Alack, why does he do so?
See thyself, devil! Proper deformity shows not in the fiend so hard as in woman.
O vain fool!
Thou changed self-covered thing, for shame be monster not thy feature. Were't my fitness to let these hands obey my blood, they are apt enough to dislocate and tear thy flesh and bones. However, thou art a fiend, a woman's shape doth shield.
Marry, your manhood, mew.
Enter a messenger.
What news?
Oh, my good lord, the Duke of Cornwall is dead, slain by his servant, going to put out the other eye of Gloucester.
Gloucester's eyes?
A servant that he bred, thrilled with remorse, opposed against the act, bending his sword to his great master, who thereat enraged flew on him, and amongst them felled him dead, but not without the harmful stroke which since hath plucked him after.
This shows you are above, you justicers, that these are neither crimes so speedily can venge. But oh, poor Gloucester, lost he his other eye?
Both, my lord. This letter, madam, this letter here, this one, shows, and my madam craves a speedy answer. 'Tis from your sister.
One way I like this well, but being a widow, and my Gloucester with her, may all the building and my fancy pluck upon my hateful life. Another way the news is not so tart. I'll read and answer.
He exits.
Where was his son when they did take his eyes?
Come with my lady hither.
Where was his son when they did take his eyes? He is not here.
Come with my lady. Oh, my good lord, I met him back again.
Knows he the wickedness?
Aye, my good lord, 'twas he informed against him and quit the house on purpose, so that their punishment might have a freer course.
Gloucester, I live to thank thee for the love thou showest the king, and to revenge thine eyes. Come hither, friend. Tell me what more thou knowest.
Exit. Scene 3. Enter Kent in disguise and a gentleman.
Why the King of France is so suddenly gone back, no know you reason.
Something he left imperfect in the state, which since his coming forth is thought of, which imports to the kingdom so much fear and danger that his personal return was most required and necessary.
Who hath Lear left behind him, General?
The Marshal of France, Monsieur Lafar.
Did your letters pierce the Queen to any demonstration of grief?
Aye, sir. She took them, read them in my presence, and now and then an ample tear trilled down her delicate cheek. It seems she was a queen over her passion, who most rebel-like fought to be king o'er her.
Oh, then it moved her.
Not a rage. Patience and sorrow strove who should express her goodliest. You have seen sunshine and rain at once. Her smiles and tears were like a better way. Those happy smilets that played on her ripe lip seemed not to know what guests were in her eyes, which parted thence as pearls from diamonds dropped. In brief, Sorrow would be a rarity most beloved if all could so become it.
Made she no verbal question?
Faith, once or twice she heaved the name of father, pantingly forth, as if pressed her heart, cried, "Sisters, sisters, shame of ladies, sisters! Kent, father, sisters, what the storm in the night? Let pity not be believed." There she shook the holy water from her heavenly eyes, and clamor moistened. Then away she started to deal with grief alone.
It is the stars. The stars above us govern our conditions, else one self-mate and make could not beget such different issues. You spoke not with the since.
No.
Was this before the king returned?
No, since.
Well, sir, the poor distressed Lear is in the town, who sometime in his better tune remembers what we are come about, and by no means will yield to see his daughter.
Why, good sir?
Sovereign shame so elbows him his own unkindness, that stripped her from his benediction, turned her to foreign casualties, gave her dear rights to his dog-hearted daughters. These things sting his mind so venomously that burning shame detains him from Cordelia.
Alack, poor gentleman.
Of Albany's and Cornwall's powers you've heard not?
'Tis so, they are afoot.
Well, sir, I'll bring you to our master Lear and leave you to attend him. Some dear cause will in concealment wrap me up a while. When I am known aright, you shall not grieve lending me this acquaintance. I pray you, go along with me.
They exit. Scene 4. Enter, with trumpets, Cordelia.
Alack, 'tis he. Why, he was met even now as mad as the vexed sea, singing aloud, crowned with rank infirmiter and furrowed weeds, with hardocks, hemlock, nettles, cuckoo flowers, darnel, and all the idle weeds that grow in our sustaining corn. A century send forth. Search every acre in the high-grown field, and bring him to our eye. What can man's wisdom in the restoring of his bereaved sense? He that helps him take all my outward worth.
There is means, madam. Our foster nurse of nature is repose, the which he lacks. That to provoke in him are many simples operative, whose power will close the eye of anguish.
All blessed secrets, all you unpublished virtues of the earth, spring with my tears. Be aidant and remediate in the good man's distress. Seek for him, lest his ungoverned rage dissolve the life that wants the means to lead it. The British powers are marching hitherward. Our preparation stands in expectation of him. Oh, dear father, it is thy business that I go about. Therefore, great France, my mourning and importune tears hath pitied. No blown ambition doth our arms incite, but love, dear love, and our aged father's right. Soon may I hear and see him.
They exit. Scene 5. Enter Regan and Oswald the steward.
But are my brother's powers set forth?
Aye, madam.
Himself in person there.
Madam, with much ado. Your sister is the better soldier.
Lord Edmund spake not with your lord at home.
No, madam.
What might import my sister's letter to him?
I know not, lady.
Faith, he is posted hence on serious matter. It was great ignorance Gloucester's eyes being out to let him live. Where he arrives, he moves all hearts against us. Edmund, I think, is gone in pity of his misery to dispatch his knighted life, moreover to decry the strength of the enemy.
I must needs after him, madam, with my letter.
Our troops set forth tomorrow. Stay with us. The ways are dangerous.
I may not, madam. My lady charged my duty in this business.
Why should she write to Edmund? Might you not transport her purposes by word? Be like something, I know not what. I love thee much. Let me unseal the letter.
Madam, I had rather...
I know your lady does not love her husband, I am sure of that, and at her late being here, she gave strange Iliads and most speaking looks to noble Edmund. I know you are of her bosom.
I, madam?
I speak in understanding. You are, I know it. Therefore, I do advise you, take this note. My lord is dead. Edmund and I have talked, and more convenient is he for my hand than for your lady's. You may gather more. If you do find him, pray you give him this, and when your mistress hears thus much from you, I pray desire her call her wisdom to her. So fare you well. If you do chance to hear of that blind traitor, preferment falls on him that cuts him off.
Would I could meet him, madam. I should show what party I do follow.
Fare thee well.
They exit. Scene 6. Enter Gloucester and Edgar dressed as a peasant.
When shall I come to the top of that same hill?
You do climb it now. Look how we labor.
Methinks the ground is even.
Horrible steep. Hark, do you hear the sea?
No, truly.
Why, then your other senses grow imperfect in your eyes' anguish.
So may it be indeed. Methinks thy voice is altered, and thou speakest in better phrase and matter than thou didst.
You are much deceived. In nothing am I changed but my clothes.
Methinks you're better spoken.
Come here, sir, here's the place. Stand still. How fearful and dizzy it is to cast one's eyes so low. The crows and the chaws that wing in the midway air show scarce as gross as beetles. Halfway down hangs one that gathers samphire. Dreadful trade. Methinks seems no bigger than his head. The fishermen that walk upon the beach appear like mice, and yon tall anchoring bark diminished to her cock. For her cock, a buoy almost too small for sight. The murmuring surge that unnumbered idle petals chafe cannot be heard so high. I'll look no more, lest my brain turn and the deficient sight topple down headlong.
Set me where you stand.
Give me your hand. You're now within a foot of the extreme verge. For all beneath the moon would I not stand upright.
Let go my hand. Here, friend, is another purse. In it, a jewel well worth a poor man's taking. Fairies and gods prospered with thee. Now, go thou further off, bid me farewell, and let me hear thee going.
Now, fare you well, good sir.
With all my heart.
Why do I trifle with it? Why do you trifle with his despair? Is done to cure it.
Oh, you mighty gods, this world I do renounce, and in your sights shake patiently my great affliction off. If I could bear it longer and not fall to quarrel with your great opposeless wills, my snuff and loathed part of nature should burn itself out. If Edgar live, oh, bless him. Now, fellow, fare thee well.
Go on, sir. Farewell. And I know not how conceit may rob the treasury of life, wherein life itself yields to the theft. Had he been where he thought, by this thought been past. Alive or dead? Oh, you, friend, sir, friend, hear you, sir, speak. Thus must he pass indeed, yet he revives. What are you, sir?
Away, and let me die.
Hadst thou been aught but gossamer, feathers, sir, so many fathom down precipitating, thou shivered like an egg, but thou dost breathe, hast heavy substance, bleedest not, speakest, art sound. 10 masts at each make not the altitude from which thou hast perpendicularly fell. Thy life's a miracle. Speak yet again.
But have I fallen or no?
Oh,
No.
from the dread summit of this chalky bourne. Look up the height. The shrill-gorged lark cannot be seen or heard. Do all but look up.
Alack, I have no eyes. Is wretchedness deprived that benefit to end itself by death? 'Twas yet some comfort when misery could beguile the tyrant's rage and frustrate his proud will.
Give me your arm. So, up. So, how is it? Feel you your legs? You stand.
Too well, too well.
This is above strangeness. Up on the crown of the cliff, what thing was that which parted from you?
A poor unfortunate beggar.
As I stood here below, methought his eyes were 2 full moons. He had 1,000 noses, horns whelked and waved like the enraged sea. It was some fiend. Therefore, thou happy father, think that the clearest gods, who made them honors of men's impossibilities, have preserved thee.
I do remember now. Henceforth I'll bear affliction till it do cry out itself, enough, enough, and die. That thing you speak of, I took it for a man. Often 'twould say, the fiend, the fiend. He led me to that place.
Bear free and patient thoughts.
Enter Lear.
But who comes here? The safer sense will ne'er accommodate his master thus.
But who comes here? No, they cannot touch me for coming. I'm the king himself.
Oh, side-piercing thought.
Nature's above art in that respect. There's your press money. That fellow handles his bow like a crow keeper. Draw me a clothier's yard. Look, a mouse. Peace. This piece of toasted cheese will do it. There's my gauntlet. I'll prove it on a giant. Bring up the brown bills. Oh, well flown, bird. The cloud and the clouds. Quick, give the word.
Voice my Georgian.
Pass.
I know that voice.
Ha! GONERIL with a white beard. They flattered me like a dog and told me I had the white hairs in my beard ere the black ones were there to say A and no to everything that I said A and no to was no good divinity. The rain came to wet me once and the wind to make me chatter when the thunder would not peace at my bidding. There I found him. There I smelt him out. Go to. They are not men of their words. They told me I was everything. 'Tis a lie. I am not egg-proof.
A trick of that voice I too well remember. It's not the king.
I, every inch a king. When I do stare, see how the subject quakes. I pardon that man's life. What was thy cause? Adultery? Thou shalt not die. Die for adultery? No, the wren goes to it, and the small gilded bird flies lechers in my sight. Let copulation thrive, for Gloucester's bastard son was kinder to his father than my daughters got between the lawful sheets. To luxury, pell-mell, for I lack soldiers. Behold yon simpering dame whose face between her forks presages snow, that minces virtue and does shake the head to hear of pleasure's name. The fichu nor the soiled horse goes to it with a more riotous appetite. Down from the waist they are centaurs, the women all above, but to the girdle do the gods inherit. Beneath is all the fiends. There's hell, there's darkness. There is the sulphurous pit, burning, scalding, stench, consumption. Fight. Give me an ounce of civet, good apothecary, sweeten my imagination. There's money for thee.
Oh, let me kiss that hand.
Let me wipe it first. It smells of mortality.
Ruined piece of nature. This great world shall so wear out to naught. Dost thou know me?
I remember thy eyes well enough. Dost thou squinny at me? No, do thy worst, blind Cupid. I'll not love. Read thou this challenge. Mark but the penning of it.
Were all thy letters suns, I could not see.
I would not take this from report. It is, and my heart breaks for it.
Read.
What with the case of eyes?
Oh, are you there with me? No eyes in your head, nor no money in your purse? Your eyes are in a heavy case, your purse in the light, yet you see how this world goes.
I see it feelingly.
What, art mad? A man may see how this world goes with no eyes. Look with thine ears. See how yond justice rails upon yon simple thief. Hark in thine ear, change places and handy dandy, which is the justice, which is the thief? Thou hast seen a farmer's dog bark at a beggar?
Aye, sir.
And the creature run from the cur? There thou mightst behold the great image of authority, a dog's obeyed in office. Thou rascal beetle, hold thy bloody hand. Why dost thou lash that whore? Strip thy own back. Thou hotly lust to use her in that kind for which thou whipst her. The usurer hangs the cozener. Through tattered clothes small vices do appear. Robes and furred gowns hide all. Plate sin with gold. And the strong lance of justice, hurtless breaks. Armed in rags, a pygmy straw does pierce it. None does offend, none, I say none. I'll able 'em. Take that of me, my friend, who have the power to seal the accuser's lips. Get thee glass eyes, and like a scurvy politician, seem to see the things thou dost not. Now. Pull off my boots. Harder, harder, so.
Oh, matter and impertinency mixed. Reason and madness.
If thou wilt weep my fortunes, take my eyes. I know thee well enough. Thy name is Gloucester. Thou must be patient. We came crying hither. Thou knowest the first time that we smell the air, we wail and cry. I will preach to thee, mark.
Alack, alack the day.
When we are born, we cry that we are come to this great stage of fools. This good block, it were a delicate stratagem to shoe a troop of horse with felt. I'll put into proof. And when I have stolen in upon these sons-in-laws, then kill.
Enter a gentleman.
Oh, here he is! Sir, your most dear daughter!
No rescue? What, a prisoner? I'm even the natural fool of fortune. Use me well, you shall have ransom. Let me have surgeons, I'm cut to brains.
You shall have anything.
No seconds? Oh, myself? Why, this would make a man of soul to use his eyes for garden water spouts. Aye, and laying autumn's dust, I will die bravely like a smug bridegroom. What? It will be jovial. Come. I am a king. Masters, know you that?
You are a royal one, and we obey you.
And there's life in it. Come and get you in. You shall get it by running. Sa.
King exits running, pursued by attendants.
A sight most pitiful in the meanest wretch. Past speaking of in a king, general curse which twain have brought her to.
Hail, gentle sir.
Sir, speed you, what's your will?
Do you hear aught, sir, of a battle toward?
Most sure and vulgar. Everyone hears that which can distinguish sound.
But by your favor, how near's the other army?
Near and on speedy foot. The main descry stands on the hourly thought.
I thank you, sir. That is all.
Thou that the queen on special cause is here, her army is moved on.
I thank you, sir.
Gentleman exits.
You ever gentle gods, take my breath from me. Let not my worser spirit tempt me again to die before you, please.
Well, pray you, father.
Now, good sir, what are you?
A most poor man, made tame to fortune's blows, who by the art of known and feeling sorrows am pregnant to your good pity. Give me your hand, I'll lead you to some biting.
He thanks, the bounty and benison of heaven to boot and boot.
Enter Oswald the steward, drawing his sword.
Proclaimed prize, most happy. That eyeless head of thine was first framed in flesh to raise my fortunes. Thou old unhappy traitor, briefly thyself remember, the sword is out that must destroy thee.
Now let thy friendly hand put strength enough to it.
Edgar steps between Gloucester and Oswald.
Wherefore, bold peasant, dost thou support a published traitor? Hence, lest that the affection of his fortune take like hold on thee. Let go his arm.
Till not let go, sir, without third occasion.
Let go, slave, or thou diest.
Good gentlemen, go your gait, and let poor folk pass. And should Ben's wagon from my life, 'twould not have been so long as 'tis by a fortnight. Nay, come not near the old man. Keep out, tevor ye inside try your custom when me battle of the harder. Shall be plain with you.
Out, dunghill.
She'll pick your teeth, sir. Come, no matter for your voins.
They fight. Oswald falls.
Slave, thou hast slain me. Villain, take my purse. If ever thou wilt fry, bury my body, and give the letters which thou findest about me to Edmund, Earl of Gloucester. Seek him out upon the English party. Oh, untimely death! Death!
I know thee well, serviceable villain. As duteous to the vices of thy mistress as badness would desire.
What, is he dead?
Sit you down, father, rest you. Let's see these pockets. The letters that he speaks of may be my friends. He's dead. I'm only sorry he had no other death son. Let us see. Leave gentle wax, and blame our manners, blame us not. To know our enemies' minds, we rip their hearts. The papers is more lawful. Let our reciprocal vows be remembered. You have many opportunities to cut him off. If your will want not, time and place will be fruitfully offered. There is nothing done if he return the conqueror. Then I am the prisoner, and his bed my jail. From the loathed warmth wherever to deliver me and supply the place for your labor. Your wife, or so I would say, affectionate servant. Oh, indistinguished space of a woman's will, a plot on her husband's life, and at the exchange my brother. Here in the sands, I'll rake these up, the post unsanctified of murderous lectures, and in the mature time with this ungracious paper, strike the sight of this death-prescribed duke. From him, 'tis well that my death and business can tell.
The king is mad. How stiff is my vile sense that I stand up and have ingenuous feeling of my huge sorrows. Better I were distract. So should my thoughts be severed from my griefs, and woes by wrong imaginations lose the knowledge of themselves.
Give me your hand. Far me off, methinks I hear the beaten drum. Come, father, I'll bestow you with a friend.
They exit. Scene 7. Enter Cordelia, Kent in disguise, and a gentleman.
O thou good Kent, how shall I live and work to match thy goodness? My life will be too short, and every measure fail me.
To acknowledge, madam, is overpaid. All my reports go with the modest truth, no more, nor clipped, but so.
Be better suited. These weeds are memories of those worser hours. I pray thee, put them off.
Pardon, dear madam. Yet to be known shortens my made intent. My boon I make it that you know me not till time and I think meet.
Then be it so, my good lord. How does the king?
Madam sleeps still.
Oh, you kind gods, cure this great breach in his absurd nature. The untuned and jarring senses, oh, wind up of this child-changed father.
So please your majesty, that we may wake the king, he hath slept long.
Be governed by your knowledge, and proceed in the sway of your own will. Is he arrayed?
I, madam.
Enter Lear, carried by servants.
I, madam, in the heaviness of sleep, we put fresh garments on him.
Be by, good madam, when we do awake him, I doubt not of his temperance.
Oh, my dear father, restoration hang thy medicine on my lips, and let this kiss repair those violent harms that my two sisters have revenged upon, in thy reverence made.
Kind and dear princess.
Had you not been their father, these white flakes did challenge pity of them. Was this a face to be opposed against the jarring winds? To stand against the deep, dead, bolted thunder in the most terrible nimble stroke of quick-crossed lightning? To watch poor Perdue with this thin helm? Mine enemy's dog, though he had bit me, should have stood that night against my fire. And was that thou fain, poor father, to hovel thee with swine and rogues forlorn to short and musty straw? Alack, alack! 'Tis wonder that thy life and wits once had not concluded all. He wakes. Speak to him.
Madam, do you, 'tis fittest.
How does my royal lord? How fares your majesty?
You do me wrong to take me out of the grave. Thou art a soul in bliss, but I am bound upon wheel of fire, and mine own tears do scald like molten lead.
Sir, do you know me?
You're a spirit, I know. Where did you die?
Still far wide.
Where have I been? Where am I? Fair daylight? I am mightily abused. I shouldn't die with pity to see another thus. I know not what to say. I will not swear these are my hands. Let's see. I feel this pinprick. Would I were assured of my condition.
Oh, look upon me, sir, and hold your hand in benediction o'er me. No, sir. You must not kneel.
Pray, do not mock. I am a very foolish, fond old man. 80 and upward, not an hour more nor less, and to deal plainly. I fear I am not in my perfect mind. Methinks I should know you, and know this man. Yet I am doubtful, for I am mainly ignorant what place this is, and all the skill I have remembers not these garments, nor I know not where I did lodge last night. Do not laugh at me, for as I am a man, I think this lady to be my child Cordelia.
And so I am. I am.
Be your tears wet? Yes, faith. But pray, weep not. If you have poison for me, I will drink it. I know you do not love me, for your sisters have, as I do remember, done me wrong. You have some cause. They have not.
No cause. No cause.
Am I in France?
In your own kingdom, sir.
Do not abuse me.
Be comforted, good madam. The great rage you see is killed in him, and yet it is danger to make him even o'er the time he has lost. Desire him to go in. Trouble him no more till further settling.
Will it please your highness walk?
You must bear with me. Pray you now, forget and forgive. I am old and foolish.
They exit. Kent and gentlemen remain.
Holds it true, sir, that the Duke of Cornwall was so slain?
Most certain, sir.
Who is conductor of his people?
As it is said, the bastard son of Gloucester.
They say Edgar, his banished son, is with the Earl of Kent in Germany.
Report is changeable. 'Tis time to look about. The powers of the kingdom approach apace.
The arbitrament is like to be bloody. Fare you well, sir.
He exits.
My appointed period will be thoroughly wrought, or well or ill as this day's battles fought.
He exits. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Edmund and Regan.
Our sister's man is certainly miscarried.
'Tis to be doubted, madam.
Now, sweet lord, you know the goodness I intend on you. Tell me but truly, but then speak the truth. Do you not love my sister?
In honored love.
But have you never found my brother's way to the forfended place?
That thought abuses you.
I am doubtful that you have been conjunct and bosomed with her as far as we call hers.
No, by mine honor, madam.
I never shall endure her. Good my lord, be not familiar with her.
Fear me not. She and the Duke, her husband.
Enter Albany and Goneril.
I had rather lose the battle than that sister should loosen him and me.
Very well. Our very loving sister, well bemet. Sir, this I heard. The king has come to his daughter, with others whom the rigor of our state forced to cry out. For I could not be honest, I never yet was valiant. This business, it touches us as France invades our land, not bolds the king, with others whom, I fear, most just and heavy causes make oppose.
Sir, you speak nobly.
Why is this reasoned?
Combine together against the enemy, for these domestic and particular broils are not the question here.
Let's then determine with the ancient of war on our proceeding.
I shall attend you presently at your tent.
Sister, you'll go with us?
No.
'Tis most convenient. Pray, go with us.
Oh, I know the riddle. I will go.
They begin to exit. Enter Edgar, dressed as a peasant.
If your grace had speech with a man so poor, hear me one word.
I'll overtake you. Speak.
The armies exit.
Before you fight in the battle, open this letter. If you have victory, let the trumpet sound for him that brought it. Wretched though I seem, I can produce the champion that will prove what is avouched there. If you miscarry, your business of the word hath so an end, and machination ceases. Fortune love you.
Stay till I have read the letter.
I was forbid it. When the time shall serve, I will appear again.
He exits.
I fare thee well. I will overlook thy paper.
Enter Edmund.
The enemy is in view. Draw up your powers. Here is the guess of their true strength and forces, by diligent discovery. But your haste is now urged on you.
Albany exits.
To both these sisters have I sworn my love, each as jealous of the other as the stung are of the adder. Which of them shall I take? Both? One? Or neither? Neither can be enjoyed if both remain alive. To take the widow exasperates, makes mad her sister GONERIL, and hardly shall I carry out my side her husband being alive. Now then, we'll use his countenance for the battle, which, being done, let her who would be rid of him devise his speedy taking off. As for the mercy which he intends to Lear and to Cordelia, the battle done and they within our power, shall never see his pardon. For my state stands on me to defend, not to debate.
Edmund exits. Scene 2. Enter Edgar and Gloucester. Sounds of fights and a retreat are heard within.
Away, old man, give me thy hand. Away! King Lear hath lost, he and his daughter ta'en. Give me thy hand, come on!
No further, sir. A man may rot even here.
What ill thoughts again? Men must endure their going hence, even as they're coming thither. Rightness is all, come on!
That's true too.
They exit. Scene 3. Enter in conquest with drum and colors, Edmund, Lear, with Lear and Cordelia as prisoners, and the captain.
Some officers take them away, good guard, until their greater pleasures first be known that are to censure them.
We are not the first who with the best meaning have incurred the worst. For thee, oppressed king, I am cast down. Myself could else upfrown false fortune's frown. Shall we not see these daughters and these sisters?
No. Come. Let's away to prison. We two alone will sing like birds in the cage. When thou dost ask me blessing, I'll kneel down and ask of thee forgiveness. So we'll live and pray and sing and tell old tales and laugh at gilded butterflies and hear poor rogues talk of court news. And we'll talk with them too, who loses and who wins, who's in, who's out, and take on the mystery of things as if we were God's spies. And we'll wear out in a walled prison packs and sects of great ones that ebb and flow by the moon.
Take them away.
Upon such sacrifices, my Cordelia, the gods themselves throw incense. Have I caught thee? He that parts us shall bring a brand from heaven and fire so hens like foxes. Wipe thine eyes. The good year shall devour them, flesh and fell, ere they shall make us weep. We'll see them starved first. Come.
Lear and Cordelia exit with soldiers.
Come hither, captain. Hark, take thou this note. Go follow them to prison. One step have I advanced thee. If thou dost, as this instructs thee, thou dost make thy way to noble fortunes. Know thou this, that men are as the time is. To be tender-minded does not become a sword. Thy great employment will not bear question.
The captain exits. Enter Albany, GONERIL, and REGAN.
Sir, you have showed today your valiant strain, and your fortune led you well. You have the captives who were the opposites of this day's strife. I do require them of you, so to use them as we shall find their merits and our safety may equally determine.
Sir, I thought it fit to send the old and miserable king to some pretension and appointed guard, whose age had charms in it, whose title more, to pluck the common bosom on his side, and turn our impressed lances in our eyes, which do command them. With him I sent the king, my reason all the same, and they are ready, tomorrow or at further space, to peer while you shall hold your session. At this time we sweat and bleed. The friend hath lost his friend, and the best quarrels in the heat are cursed by those that feel their sharpness. The question of Cordelia and her father requires a fitter place.
Sir, by your patience, I hold you but a subject of this war, not as a brother.
That's as we list to grace him. Methinks our pleasure might have been demanded ere you spoke so far. You led our powers for the commission of my place and person, the which immediacy may well stand up and call itself your brother.
Not so hot. In his own grace he doth exalt himself more than in your addition.
In my rights by me invested he compares the best.
That were the most, if he should husband you.
Jesters do oft prove prophets.
Holla, holla. That eye that told you so looked but a squint.
Lady, I am not well, else I should answer from a full-flowing stomach. General, take thou my soldiers, prisoners, patrimony, dispose of them, of me. The walls are thine. Witness the world that I create thee here, my lord and master.
Mean you to enjoy him?
Let alone lies not in your good will.
Nor in thine, lord.
Half-blooded fellow. Yes.
Let the drum strike and prove thy title, my title thine.
Stay yet. Hear reason. Edmund, I arrest thee on capital treason, and in thine attaint this gilded serpent. For your claim, fair sister, I bar it in the interest of my wife. 'Tis she is subcontracted to this lord, and I, her husband, contradict your bans. If you will marry, make your loves to me. My lady is bespoke.
An interlude.
Thou art armed, Gloucester. Let the trumpet sound. If none appear to prove upon thy person thy heinous manifest in many treasons, there is my pledge. I'll make it on my heart. Ere I taste bread, thou art in nothing less than I have here proclaimed thee.
Sick. Oh, sick.
If not on their trust medicine.
There's my exchange. What in the world he is that names me traitor, villain like he lies. Call by the trumpet. He that dares approach, on him, on you, who not, I will maintain my truth and honor firmly.
A herald, ho! Trust to thy single virtue. For thy soldiers, all levied in my name, have in my name took their discharge.
My sickness grows upon me.
She is not well. Convey her to my tent.
Regan is helped to exit.
Come hither, herald. Let the trumpet sound, and read out this.
Any man of quality or degree within the lists of army will maintain upon Edmund, supposed Earl of Gloucester, that he is a manifold traitor. Let him appear by the third sound of the trumpet. He is bold in his defense. Again. Again. Enter Edgar armed.
Ask him his purpose, why he appears upon this call of the trumpet.
Know that my name is lost by treason's tooth bare, grown, and canker bit. Yet I am as noble as the adversary I come to cope.
Which is that adversary?
What's he that speaks for Edmund, Earl of Gloucester? Himself. What sayest thou to him? Draw thy sword. If my speech offend a noble heart, thy arm may do thee justice. Here is mine. Behold, it is my privilege, the privilege of mine honors, my oath and my profession. I protest, maugre thy strength, place youth and eminence, despite thy victor sword, and And despite thy victor sword and fire new fortune, thy valor, thy heart, thou art a traitor. False to the gods, thy brother and thy father, conspirant against the high illustrious prince, and from the extremest upward of thy head to the dust below thy foot, a most toad-spotted traitor. Say thou no, this sword, this arm, and my best spirits are bent to prove upon thy heart whereto I speak thou liest.
In wisdom, I should ask thy name, but since thy outside looks so fair and warlike, and thy tongue, some say, of breeding breathes, what safe and nicely I might well delay, by rule of knighthood I disdain and spurn. Back do I toss these treasons to thy head, with the hell-heighted lie or whelm thy heart, which, for they at glance mine scarcely bruise, this sword of mine shall give them instant way, where they shall rest forever. Trumpets, speak!
Save him! Save him!
This is practice, Gloucester. By the law of war, thou wast not bound to answer an unknown opposite. Thou art not vanquished, but cozened and beguiled.
Shut your mouth, dame, or with this paper shall I stopple it. Hold, sir, thou worse than any name, breathe thine own evil. No tearing, lady, I perceive you know it.
Say if I do. The laws are mine, not thine. Who can arraign me for it?
Most monstrous. Oh, knowest thou this paper?
Ask me not what I know.
He exits.
Go after her. She's desperate. Govern her.
What you've charged me with, that have I done. And more, much more. The time will bring it out. 'Tis past, and so am I. But what art thou, that hast this fortune on me? If thou'rt noble, I do forgive thee.
Let's exchange charity. I am no less in blood than thou art, Edmund. If more, the more thou'st wronged me. My name is Edgar, and thy father's son. The gods are just, and of our pleasant vices make instruments to plague us. The dark and vicious place where he begot cost him his eyes.
Thou'st spoken right, 'tis true. The wheel has come full circle. I am here.
Methought thy very gate did prophesy a royal nobleness. I must embrace thee. Let sorrow split my heart if ever I did hate thee or thy father.
For the prince, I know it.
Where have you hid yourself? How have you known the miseries of your father?
By nursing them, my lord. List a brief tale, and when 'tis told, that my heart would burst. The bloody proclamation to escape that followed me so near. Oh, our life's sweetness, that we, the pain of death, would hourly die rather than die at once, taught me to shift into a madman's rags, and assume a semblance that the very dogs disdained. And in this habit met I my father with his bleeding rings, their precious stones now lost, became his guide, led him, begged for him, saved him from despair. Never, fault revealed myself upon to him until some half hour passed when I was armed. I'm not sure, though, hoping of this good success, I asked his blessing. From first to last told him of our pilgrimage, but his flawed heart, alack, too weak to conflict the support twixt two extremes of passion, of joy and grief, burst smilingly.
The speech of yours hath moved me, and shall perchance do good, but speak you on. You look as if you had something more to say.
If there be more woeful, hold it in. I'm almost ready to dissolve hearing of this.
This would have seemed a period to such as love not sorrow, but another to amplify too much would make much more as top extremity. Whilst I was big in clamor, came there a man who, having shunned my abhorred society, but then finding who 'twas that so endured, with his strong arms he fastened onto my neck and bellowed out as he burst heaven, threw him on my father, told him the most piteous tale of Lear and him that ever ear received, which in recounting his grief grew puissant, and the strings of his life began to crack. Twice the trumpet sounded, and
there I left him tranced.
But who was this?
Kent, sir, the banished Kent, who in disguise followed his enemy king and did him service improper for a slave.
Enter a gentleman with a bloody knife.
Help! Help! Oh, help!
What kind of help?
Speak, man!
What means this bloody knife?
His heart, it smokes. It came even from the heart of... Oh, she's dead!
Who dead? Speak, man!
Your lady, sir. Your lady and her sister by her is poisoned. She confesses it.
I was contracted to them both. All three now marry in an instant.
Here comes Kent.
Enter Kent.
Produce the bodies, be they alive or dead. It's terrible, this judgment of the heavens that makes us tremble, touches us not with pity. Oh, is this he? Time will now allow the compliment which very manners urges.
I am come to bid my king and master ride good night. Is he not here?
Great thing of us forgot. Speak, Edmund, where's the king? And where's Cordelia?
Goneril and Regan's bodies are brought out.
Seest thou this object, Kent?
Why thus?
Yet Edmund was beloved. The one the other poisoned for my sake, and after slew herself.
Even so. Cover their faces.
I pant for life. Some good I mean to do, despite of my own nature. Quickly send, be brief in it, to the castle, for my writ is on the life of Lear and on Cordelia. Nay, send in time.
Run, run! Oh, run!
To who, my lord? Who has this office? Send thy token of reprieve.
Well thought on. Take my sword, give it to the captain.
Haste thee for thy life.
Soldier exits with Edmund's sword.
He hath commission from thy wife and me to hang Cordelia in the prison, and to lay the blame upon her own despair that she fordid herself.
The gods defend her.
Enter
Bear him
Lear
hence
with
a while.
Cordelia in his arms.
Howl. 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 Oh, you are men of stones. Had I your tongues and eyes, I used them so that heaven's vault should crack. She's gone forever. I know when one is dead and when one lives. She's dead as earth. Lend me a looking glass. If that her breath will mist or stain the stones, why, then she lives.
Promised end.
Or an image of that horror.
Fall and cease.
This feather stirs, she lives. If it be so, it is a chance which does redeem all sorrows that ever I have felt.
Master.
Prithee away.
'Tis noble Kent, your friend.
Plague upon you, murderers, traitors, all. I might have saved her, now she's gone forever. Cordelia, Cordelia, stay a little. What is thou sayest? Her voice was ever soft, gentle and low, an excellent hanging woman. I killed the slave that was a hanging thee. Did I not, fellow? I've seen the day with my good biting falchion, I would have made him skip. I'm old now, and these same crosses spoil me. Who are you? Mine eyes are not of the best. I'll tell you straight.
If fortune brag of two she loved and hated, one of them we behold.
This is a dull sight. Are you not Kent?
The same, your servant Kent. Where is your servant Caius?
He's a good fellow, I can tell you that. He'll strike him quickly, too. He's dead and rotten.
No, my good lord, I am the very man.
I'll see that straight.
That from your first of difference and decay have followed your sad steps.
You are welcome hither.
Nor no man else. All's cheerless, dark and deadly. Your eldest daughters have fordone themselves and desperately are dead.
Ah, so I think.
He knows not what he says, and vain is it that we present us to him.
Very bootless. You lords and noble friends know our intent. What shall be comfort to this great decay may come shall be applied. For us, will resign during the life of his majesty to our absolute power, to you your rights, with boot and addition of his dear honors as more than merited. All our friends shall taste the wages of their virtue, and all foes the cup of their deserving. So see.
Oh.
My poor fool is hanged. No life. Why should a dog, a horse, a rat have life and thou no breath at all? Thou would come no more. Never. Pray you undo this button. Thank you, sir. Do you see this? Look at her, look. Her lips. Look there.
He dies.
He faints. My lord!
Break heart, I pity break.
Look up, my lord!
Vex not his ghost. Oh, let him pass. He hates him that would upon the rack of this tough world stretch him out longer.
He's gone indeed.
The wonder is he hath endured so long, he but usurped his life.
Bear them from hence. Our present business is general woe. Friends of my soul, you twain rule in this realm, and the gourd state sustain.
I have a journey, sir, shortly to go. My master calls me. I must not say no.
The weight of this sad time we must obey. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say. The oldest hath borne the most. We that are young shall never see so much, nor live so long.
All exit with a dead march. And now let's hear it for our fantastic cast.
Hello, my name is Jamie Brouillette, and I played the gentleman.
My name is Joachim Louis. I'm the Duke of Burgundy, servant, and old man.
I'm Katherine Dalin, and I played the Duke of Cornwall.
I'm Mark Child, and I played Duke of Albany.
Phil Arquette, I played the King of France and Oswald.
Jordan Crice, and I played Edmund the Bastard. Lauren Schneider, and I played Edgar.
I'm Kathy O'Shaughnessy, and I played the Earl of Gloucester.
I'm Elizabeth Rudolph, and I played the Fool.
I'm Stan DeCwikiel, and I played the Earl of Kent.
I'm SarahAnn Sutter, and I played GONERIL.
I'm Gilly Kelleher, and I played Regan.
I'm Heather Keith, and I played Cordelia.
Aaron Hunt, I was Lear.
Well done, everyone. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you do have any questions, you are welcome to post those in the chat. I haven't seen any pop up. But before you go, if you're on your way out, let me get back over to the screen here so that I can share something fun with you. All right, let's share it with my friends. Share it with my friends that our next show. Oh gosh,
you are
come here.
welcome
There we go.
to post those in
There it
the
is.
chat. I haven't seen
Stop
any
hearing
pop
me
up.
talk.
But
gosh.
before you go,
Okay.
if you're on your way,
I gotta make it stop talking over there. There we go. But anyway, you can see that our next show is going to be The Tempest. And apparently that my internet connection is unstable. But Sunday, September 27th in the evening, we will be presenting The Tempest, and we hope that you will join us at that time. There we go. I just had to turn that off. All right. Thank you all so much. I don't think I see any questions. Screen sharing is done there. There we go. But bravi to the entire cast. Thank you for our audience for tuning in. If you stayed this long, congratulations, you get your merit badge. I don't know what it's your merit badge in, but you get your merit badge. So check in at the desk. Where do you get merit badges? I don't know, the desk. And just enjoy my mustache one last time. And an extra special bow for Captain Jibbity and for Sock Mabel, who didn't get her individual bow, but it's okay. All right. Thank you all so much. I'm going to end our live video. But thank you all for tuning in, and we hope that we will see you soon.
There does seem to be one question, Kat.
Oh, there's a question. I am
got
slow
a
on the uptake. What's our
question.
question? Here we go.
It's about asking about the dysfunctional family system.
Yes, it's rather complicated, but essentially, Lear has 3 daughters. At the start of the show, 2 of them are married, one to the Duke of Cornwall, and the other to the Duke of Albany. Cordelia is the youngest, and at that point not married, and she manages to get married to the King of France in spite losing her dowry. Yeah, that's basically who we have on that side. Team Gloucester, you have the legitimate son, and then the son who is not by the wife, which is Edmund the Bastard. So bastard, of course, in this time period referred to someone who did not have parents who were married to one another, not specifically to someone who's a jerk, but in Shakespeare, they're often also a jerk.
Coincidentally, I am a villain.
Yes, but there are rare occasions where the bastard character is actually not a villain. Yeah, all right, yeah, so we've got you got kind of an interesting collection of people. All right, any other? Yes, Lillian gets such a such a merit badge for sure. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we hope you will join us at the end of September for The Tempest. And we already know what we're doing in October.
Yes, we do.
But we're not going to tell you yet. You have to come in September.
It's gonna be good.
If you're so minded, you're welcome to offer up a donation to help support our crazy shenanigans and pay for more things like swords and jelly to be guts and such.
Swords we don't use dowel rods.
Or you can join us and you'll find out our secrets.
Haha.
Learn a whittle
Yes,
and
that's
bound
the
a
other
sword.
thing. If you're interested in joining us, we always welcome new friends to come and read with us. So with that, I'm going to end our live stream. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Cast, you're welcome to stick on and congratulate each other if you want to. But let me click the button. Click the button.